What is up, guys? Welcome, Truth and Transparency, Pavarotti.
Hello, everyone.
What's up, buddy?
Uh-oh, I've got something on here.
Oh, you probably got me on. I got like 5 waters over here.
There it goes. Let's see. How do I get back to where here we are. Okay.
Are we good?
I was watching you as I was watching you.
Oh, cool. Hey. Okay. Oh my gosh. Like, we literally do a live and then like the floodgates just like come pouring open in this case. Like, it's like we get 3,000 photographs that like you've been busting it on with every, basically what's the crime scene look like? Then we start getting these reports of the rebuttals. Then we start getting Eric Gower's interview. I know I've been waiting for is to hear what he had to say, what his car looked like. What other big things popped? Oh, then just yesterday, the Walenta boys interview comes out. Adam Lana. So what? Let's just debrief here and say, okay, wow, where do we begin?
Yeah, I haven't seen the Walenta boys interview. What did you pull from that?
Oh, you want to hear a little bit of that? It's super quick. Oh, yeah. We can do like a live reenactment. Okay. Here, let's do that. That's fun. Courtesy of Connor. Connor put these out yesterday, and this is the first time we get to hear from Dani Vargas, like something that she did when she was involved with the case, to say, hey, this is my first interview. So let's go. I like that. Let's do a reenactment here of what we think. So here, they were all interviewed at their house at the same time, one by one, kind of. Mm-hmm. And so here's this interview.
This will be the Moyes house, or?
Yes. Okay. It answered a lot of questions for me in terms of why Ann Taylor was going to be calling them to the stand, because they all kind of contradict themselves.
Okay.
But let's see if you catch what I caught, and I'm going to put it on like 2 times speed. I'll do 1.25. There you go. Right here.
This conversation, so I don't miss anything. Okay, so you mentioned.
Yes, so it's not a lot, but I woke up a couple times Saturday night.
Okay.
Roommates coming in and different things, and around 4, I think when I looked at the clock, it was maybe around 4:17. I woke up and I didn't hear. It takes a lot for me to wake up.
He nailed that, didn't he?
What do you think about that right off the rip? Like, I looked at the clock.
He might be a Swami or something. I don't know. 4:17. He kind of nailed it.
Right, and then what he's about to say here though is that he didn't wake up because of the dog barking. He says it right here. So
I was kind of surprised I woke up, and I didn't hear anything at first, but after maybe 5 minutes, that's my best estimate. I was pretty in and out. I started hearing dog barking. Sounded like it was coming from that direction from the house. So I believed it was their dog.
Okay.
And I was going in and out again. I think for maybe another hour, I kept hearing the dog barking outside. Thought it was very peculiar, just because I've lived here since January, and I've never heard that dog outside barking in the middle of the night. And that's all I really have.
Okay, and so it was about 4:17 when you looked at the clock.
Yes.
After you were woken up by the sound of the dog.
Yes.
Oh my God, right there. So what do you think about Dani Vargas just completely changing the order of how that all played out right there?
Well, one thing that I take from that, though, because I always go back to what Ann Taylor was arguing in court about. I believe she was going to try to move the crime from after, the car got there, and she was using Murphy barking for 45 minutes. So I think she would probably use that as a backup for, all right, he woke up at 4:17, he heard something, and then for the next 45 minutes, he heard the dog barking, just like we hear on camera. That kind of goes to the crime didn't start till 4:17.
Right. And then what about Vargas, though? Did you catch that there, what she tried to do? She's like, okay, so you woke up at 4:17 because you heard the dogs the dog barking.
Oh yeah, she just slicked it in there.
Yeah, did you just see that?
No,
I was like,
didn't even.
Oh,
catch
here, I'll
that.
let you got to hear
always
that.
Catch the slip ups by them a lot better than I do.
I was like, you got to hear this. This is, oh wait, hold on. I want to go back to like what I just did before. Okay, this one. Okay, yeah, there we are. Here, let's listen to that right there, that little slip. There we go.
That's all I really have.
Okay, and so it was about 4:17.
Yes.
When you looked at the clock.
Yes.
After you were woken up by the sound of the dog.
Yes.
Yeah, and then they always follow right along when they lead them. Oh yes,
yeah, because after that, like, because you're not catching how she just did that, but she knows what she just did. So my question to you, this is me, and I'm just like, okay, how does she know right then and there that she needs to? This is on 11/14, like so early on in this investigation. Nothing is out to the world. They don't even supposed to know what kind of has occurred here or what timing. How does she know that she has to have it that he woke up from the dog barking and not that he couldn't have woke up from something else, and then here's the dog barking 5 minutes later? How does she already know that she needs to mess with that?
I don't think there's any way that she could know at that point, because they haven't even got the the sound and everything back from the 1112 camera. So I mean, just playing devil's advocate, it could just be that she heard it that way and just assumed by what he said that the dog woke him up. But that's when you really think it out. I don't know how she could preemptively know that he should have woken up at 4:17 from the dog. So that's kind of weird.
Well,
what do you think?
I think that, it's the same thing on her going and looking, and she's just like this super quick woman to, oh my God, I was looking at the cameras and I'm able to see that this kid, like, somebody walking out at 3:50 to be able to get those search warrants. Like, she's always over here just like, and I'm like, okay, well, actually, I do believe that you guys went hog wild on 11/13 into the night, and then you guys got the 11/11/12. You guys did have that camera, and also it's like it tells me that something is wrong for her to be, to be
that quick on it.
Yes, because then, yes, like 1000%. But
the two people that, as far as all the investigators go, the two people that seem to either know something or have better instincts than everybody else seems to be Vargas and Talbot, from what I've looked at.
Yeah, that they just got like this ESP.
They're
crazy, like, Here it gets a little better.
Okay, and then did you look outside at all?
No, I have my room is downstairs, like the closest, like I can look out to the house from my window down there. But I have blinds that cover it up, and I'm a very deep sleeper, so I was just kind of going in and out, just kind of falling back asleep, waking up. I didn't really think too much of it because there's a lot of noise that happens, especially with these streets with the outhouses.
Yeah.
So I didn't really think too much of it at first. So I just kind of went back to sleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the dog was barking for how long, do you think?
I think the last time I woke up was around 5. And I believe the dog was still barking at that point.
Okay. And it sounded like it was outside.
Yes. It was
in that direction.
Yeah.
And when you did wake up, did you notice any lights on, motion lights, anything like that? Did you hear any?
No.
Hear any rustling or hear anything else? I didn't
hear any rustling. I probably, because we have a nightlight that turns on, and that little window around the corner is the window for my room. I probably would have seen that if it had turned on, but it didn't.
Okay.
Other than that, my room's very dark, so if there was light or
if someone like trips that, you would have seen anything.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your date of birth?
2001.
Okay, cool. All right, well, if you think of anything else, or if you remember anything else, were any of your other roommates home that heard anything, or?
They were all home, but they didn't hear anything, I think my roommate heard this day. He lives in the other room downstairs. I think he woke.
You just said my other roommate, Matt, because he lives down in the downstairs area with him. That's what he just said there.
Woke up for a second from the bar. But they didn't hear anything, I think my roommate heard this day. He lives in the other room downstairs. I think he woke up for a second from the barking, but he went back to bed as well.
Okay.
And what time was Matt supposed to have left for his was it weekend?
Yeah, he said he woke up at 2:30 and he left at 3. So yeah.
So yeah, so that's a discrepancy right there.
Yeah, right. And then basically he says that I think my roommate Matt, he woke up, heard it, he went back to bed as well. I think wouldn't you be able to tell if your roommate is, I don't know, if he's waking up at 2:30 and he's actually leaving because he's going to, you also talk to him between obviously, the time that you're being interviewed here on the 11:14, you've talked to him. They definitely, because listen to what happens here. So how he gets this, why he thinks that Matt's there and he's not, that's what I think also Ann Taylor was going to go ham on.
Well, if I was Matt and he told him that and then said he was still there and I told him I left at 3, I'd probably be strangling Simon Getty here.
Yeah. So that's exactly what's about to happen here. But check this out. How can Vargas, so here I'll let it play so you can hear it kind of in real time with, how do you not catch this? Like, this is just so, dude, this kid says that your roommates were there. He went back to bed and he is telling you that when he heard the dog, it was after the time that he was supposed to be gone. You know what I mean? So who was in the house downstairs with him? The boogeyman. So here,
Yes.
he brings Matt in right now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Again, give it up for Connor. He put this video out.
Do you want to stand inside so you don't get too cold? Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Now, we do think that maybe Payne has a little bit of allegiance to the ROTC program because he, went through it. So just saying,
Okay, so is that your full name?
Yes.
And what's your date of birth?
2000.
How about a good phone number for you? Room is downstairs.
Yeah, it's the first one to the left.
Okay. And he mentioned that you might have heard something?
So I was gone, I think, like, when all of these events transpired. Yesterday, I did this thing called Extended Training Day. It's like this thing we do.
Okay. So right there, I have to stop. When he says that, so I was like gone when all these events like that happened, how does he think he knows when this happened? Like, the police were not putting anything out as far as the time of the crime on 11/14. Like, that was not out there yet in the morning at 11/14. That didn't come out in the police stuff until when they started talking like that. That was like on the 15th and 16th. So like, how would you know when this, occurred? That's like what would be going through my mind right now. And that,
well, unless
like,
he'd already talked with his roommate and he was telling him about it, and then he would know what time his roommate said it happened.
But how does his roommate know when it happened?
Well, he was saying he woke up at 4:17.
Oh, so you think he's talking about the events of the dog? Yeah.
Isn't that what they're, that's the way I took it.
Okay. See, here, I'll rewind it because how I took it is the events of the killing. So here, check this out. We'll rewind it. We'll take a look.
And he mentioned that you might have heard something?
So I was gone, I think, like, when all of these events transpired. Yesterday, I did this thing called Extended Training Day. It's like this thing we do in ROTC, but basically, like, I was up at 2:30 in the morning, and then I was out the door at like 3. Okay. And I was doing stuff with them until like 6. So I was gone pretty much the whole day yesterday. But I heard about
2:30 p.m. or a.m.
2:30 a.m. was when that was when I woke up. I left the house at 3 a.m. And then, and then I was at Extended Training Day until like 6 because we went to Buffalo Wild Wings after. And then,
where was the training?
So it was in a lot of different places. We started at Guywick's Field, which is here on campus. And then we went to the UI pool. And then from there, we went basically all the way to Pullman. We went to like this called Fairview. It's like that first stoplight before you get to Pullman. Okay. So we rucked all the way over there. Then we rucked all the way back.
How many other people were you with?
There's probably like 20 people total.
Okay.
10 actually doing the event, and then another 10 like facilitating it.
And was it with people that you're normally with?
Yes, people in ROTC.
Okay. Was there anyone that maybe wasn't present that normally is with you guys there?
Not that I can think of, no.
Okay. And so you left at 3. in the morning and drove there?
Yes, I drove to Buffalo Wild Wings. That was the meetup point, like the parking lot.
Okay. What time do you think you got to Buffalo Wild Wings?
It would have been shortly after 4 because that's when the event ended at the pool. Then we were there for like a little less than 2 hours. I left around like 6:15, something like that.
In the morning?
No, this was at night. So this event was like pretty long. It was like a 12-hour training event, and then we went to Buffalo Wild Wings after. So that was the meetup point. So we parked there at 3 a.m.
Okay.
Walked over to Guy Field, did the whole event, like did everything. And then after the event was over,
Hey,
we finished
Lana?
at the UI pool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, right there, he just said that he left his house at 3. He got to Buffalo Wild Wings at 4, but then he.
Yeah, because she wasn't paying
talk,
attention. She wasn't understanding, like, when she asked that question, because he says because she asked the question of what time did you get to Buffalo Wild Wings, and he said, well, we got
4
there at
o'clock.
4, because he thought what she meant was, what time did you guys get back there after your ROTC training?
Okay,
And-
well, but I know he said he got there at 4, but then he immediately
Yeah, that's when
he got there at 3.
like, wait, you got there at 4 a.m.?
But then he
like-
immediately turned around and said, we got there at 3. I mean, he in one sentence, he said he got there at 4 and 3 o'clock.
Yeah, because, well, how she just didn't do a good job of saying, wait, I'm asking you, when you left your house at 3 o'clock, how long did it take you? Is that like, what time did you get to Buffalo Wild Wings?
Where is Buffalo Wild Wings?
It's right there in Pullman. I mean, it's right there in Moscow. It's not far at all.
So it took him an hour to drive there.
No. Then he walks in and he explains it here. He's like, we got there. That was the meetup. We got there at 3.
Okay.
And then, because she sucks. As soon as he would have said, I got there at 4, she should have
bam
put the brakes on and said, okay, wait, you left your house at 3 and you didn't get to Buffalo Wild Wings until 4 in the morning. It took you an hour. Like, and then you'd been like, oh, no. We got back there at 4. Basically, when I left my house at 3, it just took me a minute or 2 to get over there. Then we left from there. By the time we got back, though, after our training, we got back there at 4 p.m. But she's an idiot.
Well, here's the question I have. Wasn't there a party at the Moyes house that night?
Well, yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out, because
how did none of these people ever need any sleep to go and do ROTC and drive to, Lewiston and go shopping? Nobody ever sleeps in this town in any of these stories. Their lives just continue on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Well, yeah, and also, like, Simon Getty just said that he woke up because his roommates were coming, like, in and out and stuff like that. And he says, like, things like that. It's like, what do you mean? Her as a detective should be saying, okay, wait, like, you woke up because your roommates came home? Like, which roommates came home? Like, you need to be detailed. Like, what's going on here? But it's like, she knows not to be detailed, because this is like a no-fly zone, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like, do I believe that Danny Vargas already is committed into whatever they think that this is? And I think it's 1000%. Like, otherwise you would never, you would have so many questions when you're actually talking to this person and, like, him, because to say, like, oh, well, you never heard the dog barking like that, but you didn't go and check, you didn't leave your bed. Did you ever leave your bed? You just heard a dog barking the whole time, but it never happens. Oh, wait, aren't you guys the people that call for noise complaints at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 8 o'clock in the afternoon? They are.
Yep.
And so this doesn't rise to that. Like, this is totally something that you would have an issue with if you're the noise complaint callers. And he's over here saying that his roommates were home, and so how could you think your roommates were home at 4 o'clock in the morning when you woke up at 4:17? I would be saying something like, well, I'm assuming that they're home. I don't know. I guess I didn't see them. But you're not going to get that unless you kind of, like, just pry just a tad, like, oh, so when you woke up at 4, did you see your roommates? Like, who was at your house? Like, but it's she doesn't think. I shouldn't say the word she doesn't think. How I feel is that if I'm not going to ask questions to something that the answers they're not going to. I'm not going anywhere with it. Like, he just said that he was with 20 people with ROTC, right? Hey, who's in charge of that? Can I get their name and phone number? Because you need to follow up and see if, like, that's really what this kid went and did.
Well, you know, my opinion has always been they already had tunnel vision at this point. They
Yes.
thought it was something else, so they're just kind of going through the motions with almost everybody that they interview. They're like, let's go ahead and get this logged in and move on. We're really looking for something else.
Yeah, I mean, but think about it. Like, you live right behind them. So have you ever seen anybody get in a fight back there? I mean, have you ever? Think about it. Your nosiest people when you live on a street is your neighbors. Like, they know so much about you. They know your routine. Like, I could tell you my neighbor what time she goes to work and what time she comes home. I could tell you, you know, she takes it. You know, she lets the dogs go out and play in the back. She really is not a dog walker, but they're always out there playing in the back with the fence. You know, your neighbors can tell you so much about your patterns and about. Hey, do people usually come over? Actually, I've never. I mean, I'm always paying attention, and I've never seen that vehicle before. You know, things like that. It's like they have their mind made up.
Either that, or they have zero experience.
True, right? Exactly.
And then that's when we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, got some food to like celebrate, and then back to my car and headed back here. Got here about 6:30, something like that.
Okay, so
here he's saying he gets back at 6:30, so he couldn't have talked to anybody because he's doing this training, right? And then listen to what she asks for here, because this is where I would think that now on November 13th, when you got back, that this is where you're going to start getting your information of like what happened, you know? Like, when did you find out about this? That's what I'd be asking, right?
Yep.
you got when you left at 3. Remember seeing anybody out and about or anything out of the ordinary?
I wish I had. That's the thing is like when I had heard that it happened so early, I kind of wish I was trying to like retrace my memories.
Yeah.
See if I remember anything, but I really don't. I was just like really in a rush to kind of get out the door.
And when you were
okay, so think about this now. That night, when I think he's the truck, I think we've narrowed it down that he's the truck, the guy that's, and so because that's like right. I mean, what
The
other
truck
vehicle?
that passes the Banfield cops.
Yes.
Okay.
And so think about this when you're passing and you're like you got cops in their little flashlights, right? And you got this kid like. That wouldn't stick out to you? You wouldn't remember that? He's like, no, I didn't see anything weird at all. Like, that was happening. I mean, they flicked the camera on, right, at 2:52 a.m.
Let's see, the truck drives by at what, 3:15?
I had it as, what was it? Was it 3:15?
I might be incorrect on that.
I know that it's after the body worn cameras on. So there's
got to be between 2:53 and 3:15.
Yeah, so he would have seen this, like, you know, kid standing there, flashlights, right? Like that kind of would have probably caught your attention.
Yep.
We have the truck at 3:46, at 3 o'clock and 46 seconds.
Okay.
Hey,
Mark.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah. So I'm over here like, so he's just like, no, okay, I didn't see anything. I was trying to retrace my memory. Okay, so let's see what else he says here.
like at 2:30 or 3, did you
My
hear that
backup
dog barking
copy.
at all? Or?
I don't think so. I don't think I'm pretty sure I would.
You want me to back up? Is that what you said?
No, so I got my backup coffee. I ran out of
Oh,
mine.
there you go.
Came two-fisted.
There's a dog barking, but again, like I was just. I don't think I'm pretty sure I would have heard it if I heard there's a dog barking, but again, like I was just kind of in a rush.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
And any of your other roommates that were home that might have heard that?
And I think said he heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the only one.
Okay. I don't know. That's my brother who just walked in, but
okay.
I doubt he heard it. Hey, you mind if I?
Yeah, you can have him. Yeah.
Did you hear
So here he yells out to Tyler, like, hey, did you hear this dog barking?
a dog barking? At some point. Would have been the morning. Okay. Because said he heard it, but I didn't hear anything. What time did you hear it?
I heard it like I was at the office around 4:17.
Okay, sounds like a little early.
Hi. I'm Danny.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So now Tyler gets interviewed with all three of them standing there, not just by himself.
I didn't hear dog barking at any point. I had gone out to the bars at night, and we got home around 2:30 in the morning. And my sister was in the same sorority as Maddie, and saw Maddie out at the club. Yeah, no, it wasn't John's. I'm pretty sure it was the club for sure.
Oh, Corner Club.
The Corner Club.
Okay.
So, and we were at the Corner Club like right before they closed.
Uh-huh.
So she was out like really late, and yeah, and then I just laid in the living room for a long time, for like probably till like 3 in the morning, and I didn't hear any dogs. But I sleep with earplugs in,
Okay.
so that's why I wouldn't have heard anything. But their rooms are more like.
So that's why I wouldn't have heard anything, is I sleep with earplugs in. But their rooms are more like talking about like his brother and Simon's are down
outside, so that's why it sounds like. Did you hear it or no?
No, because I was out the door.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because you left when I was still down there. So
He said you left when I was still down there. Like meaning like he left.
Club.
Yeah. Well, I think what he means is when I was down in the living room, because there's a living room in the downstairs area.
Mhm.
When I was downstairs in living room area, you left. Oh yeah, that's right. You left when I was down in the downstairs living area. You left to like leave.
Mhm.
And that's what's interesting is that, well, what I thought I thought he woke up at 2:30. I thought he didn't, leave until 3. So it must have been like right there at the tail end. And so, but
One thing they sure hasn't shown yet is the other person who lived in the downstairs room that said they heard the dog barking, same as him, in the beginning of the interview.
oh yeah, no, that was Matt. He was saying that Matt heard that. And then
Yeah.
Matt's like, no, I left.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're like, okay, Simon's convinced that one of these other people, heard this dog and then they woke up and then they went right back to bed. So, and he was saying that was Matt.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, that's where I think Aunt Sarah was
why
gonna
does
be
he
like,
think somebody else heard it? Or why does he think
Exactly.
Matt heard it? So yeah,
Exactly.
that's something you should definitely dig in on.
yeah, we are.
Something that she should have dug in on at the time. I mean, when she got all 3 statements, she should have said,
Right.
wait a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like this would cause for like a follow-up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, let's see what was going on with the ROTC. Let's see if that was truly happening. Okay. And then, let's see if she asks, when did you guys hear about this? Let's see come on. This is like your back neighbor. Let's see if what she asks about that.
Mm-hmm.
She says, what's your date of birth and all that. And then,
Maddie,
She's an ex-member.
was an ex-member, but they were still loosely connected. And then Shayna, I can't remember. Zana was in.
Dana.
Who out last night?
Saw Maddie out. Maddie Mogan.
Logan?
Mogan, yep.
she doesn't even, Logan, she doesn't even know that Maddie's last name is Mogan.
See, that tells me that I don't know how she could possibly know about the dog at 417 and all that if she don't even know the victims' names.
Or is she playing dumb for a reason or something? Do you think that
They may literally just be that inept.
I love it. I love it.
Because Madison Mogan is my sister's ex's ex. Does that make sense? So my sister's ex, Maddie, is his ex.
Okay.
There's a lot of Maddies.
His ex
Yeah,
is
there's a lot of
that.
Maddies.
A lot of Maddies.
I need
So-
a little flow chart.
Exactly. Yeah, I need to draw it for you. But my sister and her, they used to have a little bit of tension, and then they were good. And so that's why my sister was like, oh, I saw Maddie at the bar. Like, I should
Did you hear that dog bark right there?
Hmm.
Listen to that.
a little bit of tension, and then they were good. And so that's why my sister was like, oh, I saw Maddie at the bar. Like,
Hear that?
Mm-hmm. That sounds like an ankle biter.
Yep. And I'm curious because I think they have 2 of them. They have an ankle biter and they have a bigger one.
Okay.
But right there's tension between these people. Oh, okay.
I should have said hi to her, but I didn't. And then yeah, the next day we found out that this was happening. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else you guys can think of?
I don't think so.
Okay. Cool. So then you weren't even here. Sounds like
No,
he
I
heard
wasn't.
dog barking.
Yep.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
If you have any other questions, I'll reach out to you guys.
Okay. Cool.
Do you mind if I ask a question? We're safe here? Because I know it said there's no threat, but the suspect is still at large. We don't know what's going
That's
on.
been our biggest concern. It's like the fence line is shared with us, and like 2 of the girls being the same story as my sister who lives
Right.
here, we were kind of just like,
anything we can.
what's the threat level at the time?
My sister who lives here. Well, that's interesting.
Mhm.
Your sister lives there. And here's Danny, like, oh, your sister, like, wouldn't you want to talk to her? And this is the interview that I can't find anywhere that Madison Moyer was interviewed. I cannot find Madison Moyer being interviewed. All I have is Danny Vargas saying, I took her phone number.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, what does she have to say about this? So I was waiting for that interview because I know that Ann Taylor had put Tyler and Simon Getty on the witness list.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it had everything to do with this whole, wait a second. There's a huge contradiction there for me. And it's that you heard something before, like you didn't wake up because of the dog. Like that happened 5 minutes after you woke up. So what did you wake up to? What woke you up? And he said, my roommates were, about my roommates coming in and go, roommates coming and going. So that's what woke you up, right? Okay. So if Tyler gets home at 2:30 and Matt leaves at 3, what woke you up at 4:17? And it wasn't the dog.
I'm still stuck on which one of these guys was having the party. I mean, it sounds like they just have a party in their house and then they get home, the party leaves and they go to bed or whatever.
Yeah, it sounds like, was it, and she doesn't ask any questions like, where were you guys, what'd you guys do that last night? Like, where were you? Like, where were you?
Be careful because my male chauvinist side comes out and I look at these 3 strapping young men and I listen to them talk and they sound like little pencil necks. And I see pictures and they're all muscled up and stuff. They sound like little pencil necks when they talk.
Right.
Are we still safe here?
Are we still safe here? Like, hey, that's my sister's sorority and she lives here. Like, they gonna come for us? Like, is the person gonna come for us? I'm just like, whoa. Yeah. And then Adam Lotta, it was just a worthless interview in terms of like, we find out from that interview that he interviewed with Riggs from the FBI. That's what I got from it. And there was an interview before it. So it's like, we have to go get that.
You know when the interview with Riggs took place?
Before the 18th.
Before the 18th? Okay.
Just because that interview was the 18th.
Ann Taylor had requested information in Discovery about that because she wanted to know what Maddie told Adam. And I don't know, did Batanti ever interview him?
I think that because that happened later. Like we didn't get to this whole, what did Maddie tell Adam? It was after that. So like, you would,
but I think wasn't it 2024 that she requested the discovery on the Lauda stuff?
Oh, when she went back in to do like more stuff. Yeah. So. And I think that the interview that I got was from the Idaho State Police. So
I just didn't know if Batanti did those separate interviews. I couldn't remember if Lauda was listed in there.
Yeah, I didn't have him as one of them.
Okay.
Did you?
Well, maybe they didn't follow up.
I'll tell you what I got from Eric Gower's interview. Tom, did you listen to any of that?
I did. I listened to all that on Gower.
Okay. Did you fall over when you? First of all, what did you think about the steaming of the vehicle? But the outside wasn't clean.
It definitely looked like it had been cleaned, but I couldn't tell. Is that him cleaning it before they went through it, or was that from them vacuuming it, trying to check it for evidence?
Oh, that was he tells what's his name, Van Leuven, in the interview that he had just vacuumed it.
Okay.
So, and then Van Leuven was like, he doesn't even put that in his report that the car had just been vacuumed. He's like, okay, no, it's fine. We just, with all the media around here, just drive it over to the West Palouse, blah, blah, and park it over there. And that way we don't want to draw any attention.
Well, I thought the big thing was, because what I was looking for when I was listening for, the black Ford Explorer. And he was saying that there was 4 cars in the driveway. He thought one of them was the Ford Explorer, but the Jeep wasn't there.
What'd you think?
Well, we know the Jeep was there because we've got all the video. We never see a Jeep come in, but I know the black Ford Explorer came in at 429, and I know he can't pull out of that driveway where that black Ford Explorer is and pop his headlights up on that window and that cam. So that was interesting. In your white car at 153, him mentioning that, or the silver car.
Yes. Yeah. So
I still haven't. I've watched all the video. I still haven't seen that thing ever pull out.
The one that arrives at 154 and 13 seconds.
Yeah, the one that comes in right before Gower. Dropping them off.
Yeah. Yep. And then the other one. What about the 13208 car? But how about him saying that he used Lyft and they didn't go and get a subpoena for Lyft? Yep. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yep. Yeah, I went back to the original MPD reports on that, and all they ever talk about, they do mention in there that he drove for Lyft and Uber.
Where's the Lyft?
They only talk about ever pulling information from Uber.
What do you think? Do you think that was like the feds did that part of it? Would they split it up that you think the feds could have possibly? I mean, because come on, that was the ride that he takes, that last one. He is claiming that it's a Lyft ride, and what I have a hard time believing is if you shut off your Uber app at 1:15,
Yep.
Okay. Why is your Lyft app still on? Why wouldn't both of them be off and you're just rolling with,
And if they took all the trouble to go through and get his Uber information and they've got a call that he did on Lyft, why wouldn't they get the Lyft? I don't think they ever even pursued it. I think once they got his video from him being at his house and it didn't match their time frame, I think they just chalked it up.
Well, how about this? What about Ann Taylor, though? If I'm, on the defense's team and I'm part of going through the discovery, I'm saying, hey, where's Eric Gower's? I mean, this is like the first thing. Where's Eric Gower's Lyft? We're going to go get that. We can do a Deuce Tech and we can go and get that information. Like, it's really important just to know because we need to see what time he dropped off this ride over at Ding 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 Indian Hills.
Are you thinking that he dropped the ride off at Indian Hills right before 3:30?
1,000.
So you're thinking he dropped the ride off at Indian Hills? They jumped in a white car and,
or he dropped off and then the times of the cameras there. That was right
at 3:26. Yeah,
that was right after the whole daylight savings, right? So if you guys, what if they didn't? What are you supposed to do? It's fall back, right? What if they didn't push them? Like I'm saying is that how ironic is it that literally where Eric Gower went to drop somebody off, who claims, number one, the interview of the person that got picked up by the Uber, he said that he got picked up by a cop. Okay, a cop, and then Eric Gower is dropping somebody off on Indy, and then they're using video to say this is where Brian Kober originated. Poof, out of the sky.
Right.
And that's why Ann Taylor asked Payne, well, why did you ever go and get video surveillance in this area in the first place? Oh, I have no idea. What do you, I don't know.
Gower's wife, did she work for MPD?
Yeah. And then he was Santa he comes sit on my lap, Santa.
Gower, because his wife works there, he may tell people when he picks them up that his wife works there, and a drunk person, he could say that, could assume that Gower was a cop. That guy was telling me he was a cop when he may have been telling him his wife was working for MPD.
Yeah, that she works at the PD. Yeah. It was like, oh, the guy that picks me up, he's a cop,
Yep.
And I'm just like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, well, I personally think that Eric Gower's CI, in terms of like that he would definitely act like he was cool with people and he was totally explaining to the cops if there are, who's who and
if his wife works for MPD, whether he's an official CI or not, he's probably, working duties like a CI, giving them information.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't he if his wife works there and they're asking her?
Yeah. And then, so I'm over here. As soon as I heard that, I go back and look at Van Leuven's written report. And from his written report, I'm like, this is the stuff that's wrong with the world for me. Is nowhere in his written report does he mention that Eric Gower's car was cleaned out, like steam cleaned. Nowhere in his written report does he say that he went over to that he gave a ride over there at Indian Hills. And he wrote this report up in March of 2023. So he would know, Van Leuven knows how valuable the street Indian Hills is. Okay.
Yeah.
And he knows exactly, they were trying to hide the fact, unless you were to listen to that entire interview, you were trying to hide the fact because nobody could just look at your report and see that really crucial information. You were trying to hide the fact that he went to Indian Hills. Like,
does it say on that report in 2023 when he was, how they write the report that day, but they're talking about what they did on November the 14th? Does it say what day he's referring to?
Yeah, he tried to say that he wrote the report on 11/18.
Yeah,
but
okay.
But that's where I caught him, and I'm like,
yeah,
no, you know better than to fill out a report like this. You interviewed him on the 18th. You didn't type that up until March 30th, and then you had it signed off on March 30th, and then that's when it was entered in.
Yeah, when I look at those reports that they write that far later than the things happen, it's them thinking out, okay, we've got to be able to explain this or else they're going to catch us on this. Let's go ahead and write the report like this so we can explain it away. So I think that those are all CYA reports that they're doing at that time, obviously.
Well, so the other thing is it's like you're also trying to keep it out of the hands of the defense because it's not written up yet. So here they're supposed to be having and preparing for a preliminary hearing, right? Because that's what they thought was going to happen. And
yeah, what was the date of the original discovery dump to the defense?
January, when they gave him like their January
main discovery dump. Yeah, they gave them.
They gave them stuff on the Ann Taylor put her stuff on the 10th, and they got their main one on January, like I thought it was 30th, 29th.
So everything after that.
Oh, and then guess when the March one was? The March one was before the 30th. So like that would have held back until the next time that they. Yeah. So Ann Taylor's not getting that stuff. Doesn't even know that existed.
And they do that on purpose because they know she's buried in all that other stuff, and things that they give her later is just going to be stuff she's not going to get to till she gets through the initial stuff. So yeah, they're pretty slick on how they did all that.
And that's why this stuff, when you have I just think you have to be really more vocal and lay that out to say, Your Honor, let me explain how this worked. Okay. For example, I don't have reports being written up for 3 to 4 months after the fact of them actually having an interview that they took in November. Okay. And they're not even writing the report until March 30th.
Yep.
Of 2023, 3 months after my client was arrested. Okay. And then so therefore, and then I'm not, you see this discovery dump right here? I did not get it. This is how she would have oral argued. She would have got her continuation. She would have gotten those extra days to say, or that,
But think about how much transpired and how many different things like that there are between John Judge and Judge Hippler. Judge would have recollected some of that stuff, being able to go through and explain all that to Hippler, and he wasn't listening. The switch of the judges is, I think, what really, really killed their chances in this. Agree.
And I think that knowing that all of this had taken place, it was the dumbest thing to ever move it, in my opinion, only because you're going to be able to win off of appeal. Even if you get hosed in Moscow, like that's just going to be even more of like but don't even try to attempt to move it, because your play is to get this.
Well, do you think Ann Taylor thought that John Judge wasn't going to move with it, or was going to move with it?
That's interesting. Yeah, maybe. Actually, I mean, knowing how small that town is, like, I just don't think that he could have. How does he go? I think that if it wasn't going to be in their neck, no, he wouldn't have. I think that she should have known that he would have gone with it. That would have been a high probability. And so I would be like, dude, do we want, John Judge? I mean, I was totally feeling him. Like she was getting her, like she
may have been anticipating getting a judge. Like, wasn't it Boyce that did the Daybell?
Yeah.
And he was a lot more fair, it seemed like, on things. So they may have anticipated getting Boyce and didn't realize that Hippler was going to step in and take it himself, because he was the administrative judge that, kind of oversaw the Daybell trial.
Yes. I think that it is. It's such a complex case, but you're going to give me my time to explain this to you, because you're clearly not getting it, Hippler, and then you're going to have to talk like that, and you're going to have to demand the court's time. And because then we actually read the stuff that she filed, I'm still not satisfied with the 28 pages, because it didn't explain anything of what I just said in a minute, which was, I'm not getting stuff until this date. Okay. I'm not getting this stuff until this date.
Yep.
All right. And,
well, she could have provided him 1,000 examples of that, though.
Oh my God.
Because Hippler's in court saying, you never even told me you had discovery issues.
And guess what? I also don't put all the blame on Ann Taylor here. I want to know who her team is. It takes a freaking team.
This case has so much. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. So,
and I think she was on it. She knew how she's gone up against them. She knows how they play. Okay. So, and she thought something was up immediately, to the point that she's taking Matt Nodell with her to the crime scene. I mean, this was like immediate, but it was also probably immediate because they were trying to literally wreck that house. Remember, right before they had to put a court order to say, don't do anything.
Right.
They were trying to mess with that house before Ann Taylor even got to go in there. If we remember that.
And when we
Speaking
look at those notes, well, Nodell seems to be a pretty sharp guy.
Oh,
I mean,
heck
even
yeah.
in the crime scene, for crime scene breakdowns, a lot of the notes in there that they, the prosecution expert tried to contradict was nodal, not all
Yeah.
Turvey. So Turvey just kind of backed up what nodal had already come up with, it looked like.
Yeah. Let's talk about Turvey for a second there.
Sure.
When you sent me that this morning and you're like, dude, Brent Turvey was part of the West Memphis 3 case.
Yeah.
And so when did he get involved in that?
I don't know. I found that out here recently.
Okay, because I want to look into that.
I had actually done some videos on Turvey when we figured out he was the defense expert.
Okay.
And I never did find out he was involved in the West Memphis 3 case. But when you said that the prosecution expert was involved in the Bobo case, I said, I wonder what cases Turvey was in. And I found the West Memphis 3, and it said he was instrumental in starting to get it turned around.
Isn't that nuts that Paulette Sutton woman was part of the Holly? I said, oh my God, stop. Like this is
the only 3 cases I've really talked about on here was Idaho4, the Holly Bobo case, and the West Memphis 3. And then you got the experts working in each case. So it's weird.
Yep.
This is a whole weird deal.
Okay, so let's talk about the house here. If we go back in time to because now that we have the material, when I'm going to pull up some of these pictures.
Okay.
So trigger warning if people are watching and they're like, oh my God, Lana didn't tell me about anything. Lana's telling you now. Here you go. So we're going to pull up this. All right. Boom. Okay. So first thing that's on my list here is obviously I think that we both can agree that you cannot go based on we can eliminate some things as to when the picture was taken. If it was, if it was on the 13th, it was the, 14th, 15th. So I'm curious, did you find in any of your strolling of these 2,700 pages, okay, where you can to say to yourself hey, this is Dylan's room, right here after, and this is Bethany's room, right here after, because I'm all about, did these girls spend the night there? What bedroom did they sleep in? Where were they at?
The only thing that you can truly verify on there is if it has a placard or a sticker next to the evidence, and that tells you what day it is. But when it doesn't have an evidence marker in there, then I haven't figured out a way to determine what was the date the picture was taken.
Okay.
So it doesn't give you any kind of, data on it.
So I was able to look.
But I think anybody can look at Bethany's room and see that Bethany and Dylan didn't sleep in her bed.
Right.
So
that's what I think.
That's the smallest twin bed I've ever seen in my life.
You think it's pretty small?
Yeah. Oh, in Bethany's room? Yeah, it's tiny. It's like a cot.
It's like, okay. So right here, see how it has the fire stick in there?
Yeah.
Can we pinpoint this picture based on the fact that the fire stick is in there? And when did they get Bethany's fire stick if I see right there, boom. This is the one that I can say this is 11/13.
That's 11/13. It's a placard.
Yep. And then look at the Trader Joe's bag is up, straightened down, up on its. Okay.
Yeah, because later on it's turned over on its side.
Yep. So I was able to start looking at, okay, I'm I was basically got to play kind of photo hunt, you know what I mean? To say, okay. So when we go back to look at this picture here, where is it? Right. Right here. Okay. See that? You can see the bag that's up, straightened down, right?
Yep.
See that? Okay. So,
you got a same day there then. Likely.
Yeah, exactly. And I want you guys to look at that. And this is all this crap on top of, Bethany's bed, which if they're just chilling in the bed, texting and what's going on here type of thing. How is all this stuff on top of that bed? Yeah. That's what I was looking at.
I think in a realm of no evidence to prove it, but just belief. I mean, I believe that after about 4:30, Dylan and Bethany were up out of that place.
Yeah, they flew out. I'm still not even convinced on the whole car that's leaving at can you put Bethany and Dylan 420 and 42-second car that's, you know, speeding away. How do you know? Is there a way to determine?
Well, I know
if,
that you can hear the car that speeds away at 420. When we go to the police report where they do the dog barking test, they also in that report do a door test of doors shutting, and they actually mention a door in a trunk.
Yeah.
So when you go to 1112 and you listen, you can hear 2 doors shut and a trunk at 418 and 15 seconds. And then you never hear them open and shut again. So that would be the time that the 420 car actually people got in it, in my opinion. I believe that's what they believe too, because of their report doing the door test.
So you can hear, and how many?
Yeah, you can hear. It sounds like shut.
Yeah, well, were they
shut,
trying to
shut.
figure out if like? Yeah. And so it's like if one person did that, what like, and that's where I think someone's like, well, we're just gonna explain that, like, yeah, they had their bags of shit that they were taking out of there, and that's why they were opening and closing doors. And I'm just like, yeah, okay.
I don't know how they were.
And which way did they go out?
I think they were going to try to hope nobody looked at that report where they did the door shut, but we know they looked at the barking test report because Ann Taylor brought it up in their Frank's motion. So I don't know how they were going to do it.
Let's see here. Okay. Then I have a next photo I want to pull up.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been, let's see, it's 109, I think. Okay, here we go. So just some things. Now, What is your take on?
That's 100% Maddie. No cross contamination.
Okay. Now, which way is this person, in your opinion? Are they on the inside? Okay, walking down. Like this is on the top.
They would have to be on the inside because when you look at the way the staircase is, there really isn't an outside on that staircase. It's too high up because that's on the upper portion.
Exactly. Let me go back to. Hold on, I went too far. Let me go back right here. Okay, it's like
so. If you were walking up from down there, that's
right
gonna.
There.
It's almost impossible for you to get that. That's probably about 6 or 7 or 8 feet for you to get your hand up or something up on top of that. So that's, in my opinion, that's somebody coming down, their left hand swiping, and they've already attacked Maddie because that's Maddie's blood with no cross contamination.
Okay, or it's if there's multiple people, right? So this is what I was thinking is that if I had a bloody glove hand, okay, to smear like that, it would be. It wouldn't look like, it wouldn't be like me just smearing blood droplets almost, right? If I had a bloody hand of like with my glove, how am I not having like a more prominent, bigger smudge mark? You get what I'm trying to say?
Well, it could be one of them is just a little bit off the glove, and the other one could be off of a sleeve. If your blood's bloody, your glove's bloody and your sleeve's bloody too. That could be just a double swipe that happened at the same time. I know that they listed it as a transfer stain.
Yeah, that's I think it right here. Like, look at that. And I'm just like, this, in my opinion, it is a transfer stain, but it would seem like that it's like somebody was like trying to see at first if they thought it was blood. Do you get what I'm like? It's like, what do you, but the person that's touching it obviously doesn't, like, they're clean hands or whatever, clean gloves, like whatever they're doing here. It's like they're just smearing what was there. And so I'm almost like, is it secondary transfer or is it somebody that's like touching it with like latex gloves and just, you get what I'm trying to?
Well, that when you're looking at it right there, though, that's a pretty fresh picture. That's that day, because I know later on when they put the stickers, it doesn't look near as prominent as that. And at first, it might be because of their numbering system, but when you go to report number 11, it lists that sample as not testing presumptive positive for blood. But that may just be because of their messed up numbering system. They might have been talking about a different sample, but they actually list that sample number as not testing positive. But then later on in the reports, it comes back as testing for Maddie. So all this stuff in this crime scene really hard to figure out. And I know why the defense expert figured it out better than the prosecution expert because of the different numbering system, but it was crazy.
What do you think
having
about
that report? I was going insane trying to figure the crap out. I was like, how is this? And it doesn't make any sense. But,
right. Do you think that could all have happened due to, so I started looking at the body worn camera footage again. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if we go back to the people that originally responded and how they were, interacting with the railings, from the naked eye, when we were looking at this, and when you would just look at those body worn cameras, you're like, where's all the blood? Right.
Right.
But these guys that were going in there, I mean, they were touching the banisters. They were walking, all over the place and touched.
It's quite possible they touched it and then swiped the stairs. But I mean, at this point, the only thing I know to do is go by whatever the expert report says and what their determination was. So if they say it was a transfer stain, then I got to believe it. Because we still haven't seen Turvey's actual report, but it doesn't seem like that he would be disputing that was a transfer in there.
Yeah. I know. I cannot wait to when they want to pop that out. What do you think's taking them so long on that?
I don't know. Like I said, it was amazing to me that you got the report before the docs even unsealed. So you're awesome. You are the girl.
I didn't. Hey, that's all some other people. I just was so happy that I was like, you know what? See this. I gotta hold on. This bothers me. Okay, because think about it. In order for if this gets dropped, okay, it's a blood droplet, okay, but then there's like this transfer, and I'm like, but for me, how is it going the way that it is? And
well, I think it's transferring down, like they're going down the stairs as they hit it.
Yeah, but so basically what you think's happening here potentially is something that's something's flying off, and at the same time that's flying off, then something that you have is hitting it to drag it.
I'm thinking that it's a good bit of blood either on a hand or on a sleeve, and then as they're running down the stairs, because here's what I believe Dylan was actually right saying Kaylee was in the living room. She went upstairs and she ran downstairs. I believe that's the perp chasing Kaylee down the stairs that's already attacked Maddie, and that's him swiping the top of that handrail as he's chasing Kaylee. Because I think they got Kaylee in the living room and then took her back up because of all the blood in the living room's all Kaylee's.
Okay, so we're gonna get to the whole living room here. Okay, but before we get to that, this right here. How in the world do you not test this day one? And why do you think that you could ever account it for being like, let's just say lay people here? Like, I would see that and I would have to ask myself, okay, how did this get there? Right?
Well, here's the crazy thing, because before you sent me that report, all I had was they tested samples in certain areas. So I assumed that 23 right there was the one that they tested. But it turns out it wasn't. It was 24, which is just to the right of it, which is a much smaller sample.
Yeah.
And I mean, it blows my mind because that one's got like 6 drips.
Yeah.
But they tested this little tiny sample to the right of it, 24, and didn't test that.
And I'm over here like, wait, like this is, I would be asking myself, how did this hit the wall? What is hitting the wall here? That's a lot of velocity to me. And that it's like, it's almost like something was thrown at the wall. But if I took like a beer can and like it had a little bit of blood on it or something, and like I threw it and you dodged and you moved and then it hit the wall, and could that be the height of it? And I was just like, that would be the number one thing I would want. Where'd this come from? How did this get here? This isn't somebody's boots like that are kicking up, what the heck? And they don't even care. They don't even test it. The day one, like they're all like looking at each other like that's okay that's there. And it's going like that's going down to the first level. Like,
well, it looks to me like they took samples
coming
from
up.
each wall and tested it, but they only like picked one. But I don't know why they wouldn't pick that one. They picked the little tiny one to the right of it, but they picked the one off of the front wall. They picked one off of that wall, or actually picked two off of that wall because of the handrail. And but no, they actually did not test that, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But here's my thing, because what they did test came back 90. It was 90% Kaylee's DNA, 10% Maddie's in the breakdown. They actually break down the percentages in all those samples that they tested. And the only way that could happen is what they're saying is cross contamination. I mean, they're saying the knife had blood on it already from the attack upstairs. But when you look at the amount of blood that's all over that wall, the handrail, the half wall, the pong table, there's no way a knife could have that much blood still on it from an upstairs attack, come all the way downstairs, sling it all over the living room, and not have drip blood from the upstairs to the living room. If the knife had that much blood on it to create all that cast off, then there should have been drip stains from the bedroom to the living room, or else the knife wouldn't have held that much blood to create that. Does that make sense?
Right. 1,000. And the other thing that I want to point out is that let's talk about this diluted blood. That no, it's not diluted because of a mouth here. Like this to me looks like, I mean, look at compared to.
Well, the prosecution expert even concedes that the blood that's diluted in the living room area didn't come from, it came from some type of liquid that was added. I mean, she agreed to that.
Exactly. Finally, right? Though at first, though, like she didn't, right?
Yeah.
Because she thought the numbering system was wrong, right?
Right. And then in the bedroom, she calls everything their, she tries to attribute it to something in their lungs or, lung fluid or something.
Yeah.
But when you get outside of the room, she doesn't. She attributes it to some type of liquid. So she concedes that there was some type of something that happened, but she just wouldn't name it.
So
what do you think it did it?
Well, have you ever had to wash down a wall before?
No, actually I haven't. I always just paint over it.
Right? Like, when a kid, you got your kid and like they spill something, it splashes up on the wall, right? I'm like, when you got your little toddler and you're like, how in the world did this little man, he's eating this macaroni and cheese, and the next thing I know, like it's all over him, but then the wall, I'm like, what the heck? And it's like, dude, that's just what it reminded me of. It's like, this is, and then I had to go clean it up, right? I have to go clean it up, and then if I don't do a good job, I'm gonna leave the streaks of like the, wiping it and then trying to like wipe over it. I could then, and so I was like, could that be what it is, that you use something to clean it up that you then created?
There's no wipe marks though.
Yeah, well, that's
what they noted. That's what they noted in the report. They said there's no wipe marks to prove that it was cleaned. So I'm thinking that all they did was just take like either get a glass of water and try to throw it on the dang walls to make it not quite as visible, or maybe take a pump sprayer and spray the walls down with water. Because if they sprayed with bleach or like hydrogen peroxide, it would have probably killed the samples where they wouldn't have got DNA results. And it didn't. They were able to get results from everything they tested.
Yeah, and I like the whole splashing like the wall type of thing with that, taking like a cup and like, oh my God, like, but, and then I was like, what would be watered down, and how is this going to be? And I was, maybe it's did they give any type of, did they say anything about the type of wall, like this was not a smooth finish, like what?
Well, it's an orange peel. You can see it right there.
Okay, and then I was like, maybe
it's a textured sheetrock. They call it orange peel, but it's textured pretty well, so it's not smooth.
And then I was like, well, the only thing else when I saw this like this, it's like somebody swinging a knife, trying to come at somebody, that it could possibly, that the knife was bloody, but it was also wiped down for a second if they try to like run it under the water or something. So it was like a mix of blood with like water, and then they're trying to come after somebody.
But if you've already mixed your knife with water and you're in there, I mean, why would
That's
you
what
be
I
in
was
there
just.
slinging a knife around and not?
Well, because
hitting
you thought that
anybody?
the person you didn't. That's where I'm thinking that if I didn't know anybody else was there, type of thing. I don't know. I'm
But
over here
if
just
you're
trying to like.
slinging a knife around, no, trying to stab somebody, these people seem pretty proficient in hitting their target. I mean, you would
Yeah.
think that they would, with all that they had to sling
Oh,
around.
for
That's
sure.
a lot of slinging to not hit somebody. So you would expect to see somebody's blood. That's why I say they make us.
Yeah, and then when
they
it
want us
tested
to
this,
believe that nobody's in the living room, but there's this maniac in there with his bloody knife pirouetting, slinging it all around, and there's nobody in there he's trying to cut. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that they're like dancing. That they're like dancing in there.
Yeah, he's like, I'm
know,
done.
and
I'm going to go in here and do a pirouette,
Yeah.
sling my knife around before I
Yes.
leave. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and pulling like what Molly was talking about, ducking up and down. You know what I mean? Like I'm over here trying to like, what's going on?
Swinging on a hammock or something.
Yeah, and so whose blood is this?
The only one that they tested on the whole wall was the one at the end, which is 26.
Mhm.
Came back 90% Kaylee, 10% Maddie.
Yeah, right there.
Right there. And then you go to the pong table, though, and that pong table, if you look at it the day of, it's got blood all over the freaking thing that's been washed off, but you can still see all the drops and the drips, and that one is not cross-contaminated. That one's 100% Maddie, and that's a lot of blood. So the only blood that you see on all of the walls and the half wall and the pong table that they tested was either all Maddie or 90% Maddie. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm saying Maddie, I'm Kaylee. Take everything I just said with Maddie and make it Kaylee. I just confused the whole world.
Let's talk about, okay.
That one tested presumptive positive not to be blood with orthotolidine.
Isn't that interesting?
There's 3 of them that they tested that they said was not positive for blood that looks like blood, like, you would guarantee it's blood. They say it's not.
And
that one, the one in the kitchen under the cabinets, that's a big red blood stain. They said that one didn't test positive for blood either.
Yep. Okay, so going to the what number that I want to be? Okay, yeah, right here.
Yep.
Okay.
That's 39.
Yep, 39.
I've memorized this stupid crap. I'm crazy.
I know you have.
Yeah,
I know.
39.
I'm like, hey, once I see, I was like, okay, he's got this down. And then I'm going to get all these cars and all these timestamps. And then we're going to be able to literally like, we take your brain, we take my brain, and then we chop.
I'm going to figure out how I can put them all in a file and send them to you. Cause I know you got the crime scene guy.
Yeah.
I've got all of the evidence labeled with the day of, day 4, day 5, and the pictures 1 through everything in order. If I can figure out how to attach that to a file, I'll send it to you so that they'll have it and it'll be easy to look at everything. And I've got long distance pictures so you can identify what spot it's in.
Okay. So this to me was the biggest. I said, this is somebody coughing up blood. Like,
that's
right there.
Look at all this blood. It's everywhere.
Like right there to the right, though, that is that is coming out of your mouth. Like you're aspirating, like right here, like this to the. What do you think about that? As far as like this,
I mean,
here?
Kaylee's right there. That's all. It's come back 100% Kaylee. I mean, it's Kaylee.
And so I'm like, and I'm just
no cross contamination. It's just Kaylee.
And if Kaylee's supposedly one of the, like, how is that not with Maddie?
It's impossible,
right?
Because everything else is not just Kaylee and Maddie. It's 90. They give you the breakdowns: 90% Kaylee, 10% Maddie. So the only way I can, in my mind, come to the conclusion is the knife already had a little bit of Maddie's blood on it. Kaylee's getting cut in the living room and getting beat at the same time, and that's where the blood's coming from. And that's why the cast off shows the cross contamination. Yeah, they say that's not blood either.
That's not blood. Yeah, and that's just like. Yeah, I think what the most indicative part of like that it was like it's like a physical with, this is some type of coughing in my opinion right here, or like coming in like nostril out of the nose types. That's what I see there.
Well, and I think the biggest thing, and I did this in the video yesterday, and I noticed that you noticed it too when you first went through it.
Okay.
The
Which one?
prosecution expert, when she originally went through this, she wasn't saying that anybody was attacked in the living room, but then at some point, she took marker number F, which was the slash on the side of that pong table, and she thought that came back to Xana, and she changed her report and said, wait, Xana was attacked in the living room. This is indicative of an attack. And then when she got Nodal's notes, she looked and said, wait, I got the markers wrong. F, it doesn't come back to Xana. It wasn't tested. So new conclusion, nobody was attacked there. How do you have a blood sample that you say this is an attack that occurred? Xana was attacked here because it came back to Xana. But then when you figure out that it didn't come back to Xana, then no longer is it an attack right there. It's just blood on the table and Xana never left her room. That's what the prosecution expert tried to pull. And I think you're right when you said that that's how it got leaked in the beginning, that Xana was the one that came up the stairs.
Yep.
Because she didn't have the full report before she got Nodal's report in discovery.
Exactly. And that's what proves that the leak, it's always been, is coming from the prosecution, because the rebuttal to that didn't happen until 2025.
Right. So the leak all happened before 2025, and that means Dateline sat on it until right before the trial to release it. Yeah,
because they were given the stuff back in 2023. That's why they pulled all of their shit. Yep. You can't even find the first one that they did because, we actually have it DVR'd. Thank God.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go ham, because they had to pull it because that actually proved that the information that they put out in January, they had Brian Kohlberger's phone.
Yep.
But they pulled that shit. And it's about, if you save that on DVR and you record, and you like, it's like a download basically. Good. Hey, awesome that you pulled it. We still have it. And I've been sitting on it, and I'm waiting for my documentary to use it to put out. So come get some. That's why I haven't put it out.
Yep.
I've been, and I'm over here letting y'all know how I'm going to play that. Yeah, we have it.
But that means they literally, on that last episode that they put out that caused all the controversy, they had this old information that was leaked to them, and they held it for that specific time. I mean, it was like, here, we're going to wait, not divulge this till right before the trial, get the most publicity. And I think that's what caused the most, controversy in the case. And I still think that has a lot to do with why they pled out right then, and they're waiting on the investigation from the special prosecutor.
Yeah, give me another one of those. Yeah, because I was just going to tell you something. I think Bill Thompson and Ashley Jennings are involved in the leak with Ed Jacobson.
Well, if the special prosecutor uncovers that, then it's all over.
It's all
over.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe they knew that.
Listen, let's be honest. This scene, is it indicative of one person?
Everybody knows it's not now. Everybody knows. They're trying to cover it, but people are like, okay, 150, that's too many.
And the other thing is that, so if you can't even get down with that, this happened in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, come on. Like it's almost like, yeah, if none of us would have seen this, guess what? You guys get to all keep marching to that, drum beating away. But now everybody saw this. This is what the jury was going to see.
Yep.
This is what the jury was going to see. And this is why I just don't get it. The jury saw in the Richard Allen case that literally every single piece of drop of blood, hair, everything at that crime scene, not anything came back to Richard Allen. And that was a crime scene that he supposedly redressed his victims and cleaned their hands and did all this. How are you on a jury? And you hear how, oh my God, transfer DNA happens and touch DNA and all this shit.
You talking about no evidence. I mean, that's a case of no evidence. This is a case of wrong evidence. And then you got a case of Holly Bobo and Zach Adams. That's a case of, we want these guys off the street. Here's a crime. Let's just charge them for this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all that was.
It's that Holly Bobo case is going to get interesting here really soon. So the other thing with this for me is, so let's go back to, okay. Here, let me touch that really quick so I can get to the, okay. So a jury would have seen this, and a jury would have heard that there is nothing except for that sheath that has anything there of Brian Culver's, then they were going to see like, oh my God, that's not the vehicle because he doesn't have the fog lights. And then we're going to show that big debacle over there at the in coming out of, where Sunset Mart is, and how the FBI totally knew that that wasn't the same car. It's going in basically numerical time the wrong way. Yep. So when you just keep seeing these like pows and like, then you're talking about they knew that the phone wasn't handing off the way that they said, right? All of these just like pow.
Some of that though, Lana, some of that makes me think that, I mean, if you think about how long all of us have been diving into every little detail on this thing, I mean, I don't know that the defense really knew quite as much as we know at this point, because like the Floyd Cannabis Shop car, I don't think they looked at it long enough to see the little headlights in the picture. And they were going to try to use the CSLI to prove that wasn't his car versus, hey, look, this sucker's got a headlight. I mean, a fog lamp in it.
It's got fog lamp, yeah.
I don't think they really realized that. I mean, they had to have known the Sunset Mart didn't match up with the times, but maybe they didn't. I mean, I don't know what they were going to do. Maybe they didn't quite know as much as they know now. I mean,
yeah, and I'll always say it, you guys. Every day of the week, 50 brains, even if they're not all good, are gonna beat 5 brains that are working on a case. Or dude, if you don't use social media to your advantage, if you're a lawyer right now, and because if you have to like go through stuff, especially where you think the prosecution is playing games and they're doing what they did in a case like this, and a case, there's cases out there where, hey, give me all the discovery. Like, dude, you put all this you put all this together, you have your guy, you have all your proof. This is what we're going to be. There should be no games here. Why do I have to stuff a folder full of shit that's, I mean, we're all on the same team here that we should be, that we want bad guys off the streets, right? Yep. But we don't want the bad guys to be the ones that are actually trying to put away not the bad guys.
Right.
With badges, okay? And
if you put it out there, I mean, you got people that are grounded in reality like you that do a great job, and crazies like me, eventually, we might come to the right conclusion.
Well, yeah, because I just, when 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4, and you're just willing to accept the fact that 2 + 2, when somebody tells you that equals 2, it's the people that just accept. For me, that's what's hard. Is how are you accepting, 2 + 2 doesn't equal 2?
It's not just that, it's 2 + 2 = 2. And if you don't believe it, you're a conspiracy theorist, crazy person.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what they told us.
And we can't just ask a question, which is like, here's my question right here on this picture. This is the day of, okay? The day of, right? Now look at how dark. Look at how dark. You don't think that's dark?
Yeah.
That's pretty dark blood, don't you think?
Yep.
The day of, that's pretty dark, no? Okay. Yep. So I asked myself a couple questions here with that. I'm like, that's pretty dark, but maybe just because it's on the white, And then I said, well, was this door open or closed? Because the door's open when obviously they're doing this. And then we jump, and then I was like excited because I was like, oh, they're gonna like back off of it a little bit. Nope, they go to this picture. And I was like, don't even get me started on this.
Yep,
and I was like, here. How do you
know when we first saw the pictures of that trash can, there's a piece of toilet paper on top and it had a little blood spot on it. And I was looking at that a long time ago going, why did they test this blood spot? But I think they just pushed it to the side and grabbed that glove.
They grabbed the 2 gloves, but guess what? Wait, where is,
it's nowhere in the forensic reports. They weren't receipted to ISP. To the ISP Forensic Services. That was not in any results, any receipts, nothing. So unless they've got reports that they're hiding, I know they're hiding 2 reports from us, but unless I don't think the 2 reports they're hiding would have those in there because they're too far to the end.
Right.
So it's like they logged them, they never sent them. MPD never sent them over to be tested.
Well, I got this for you though. Where is the box that these gloves came out of in this house?
Wouldn't that be the first thing you'd want to test though, is gloves in the trash can?
Wouldn't you want to know where these gloves came from? Like, where did these gloves come from? Did they come from like originating in this house? Because right there, or it's underneath the sink. This is how we always clean. You know what I mean? Like I put gloves on when I clean, and so there should be a box with a bunch of gloves just looking like that somebody could have pulled out of. Okay,
and you would expect that box to probably be in that bathroom if that's the trash can that it's in, because usually people start and finish at the same spot.
At this point, I don't give a shit where the box is. Just show me that there's a box with gloves in there. And guess what? They can't. And or if they have them, like, where's that picture? So I just put a FOIA in. I want a picture of the box of latex that where these gloves came from, because that's the first thing that anybody with an ounce of common sense would be thinking to themselves is, where did these gloves come from? And then be asking, okay, we need to test these, right? Like, whose gloves are these? Why are these latex gloves in here?
I mean, it's a crime scene. Why wouldn't you want to at least? It doesn't even show where they were tested presumptive positive for blood or not. I mean, they're not. They never even.
You would think they don't exist.
It doesn't even mention it anywhere other than in this evidence label in the picture.
It's so. I mean, it just like, and I ask myself every day. I'm like, is it like do I have a special brain? Like, do really people not think like this? Like, that's the first thing that I thought about, though. I was like, where do these gloves come from? Where do they come from? Yep. And if there's not a box of that type of style of glove in this house, you guys, if that isn't the biggest fucking red flag, I think that alone, when you want to talk about a cleanup, when you want to talk about if Brian's DNA isn't on that, okay, there's got to be somebody's DNA on that. You're putting it all over your skin cell. What are you talking about? Whose DNA is on those gloves?
But then you got to ask yourself, if they didn't go through the trouble to find the box or to test it, then they would have to either be covering it up for somebody else, or they would know what caused that and they don't want anybody else to know. That would be my thoughts. Or else, why else wouldn't they go through the trouble of investigating it and logging it?
That would be the easiest thing here. Is I agree with what hey, people clean their house with gloves. Yeah, you would be able to locate those boxes where that box of gloves came from. But if there is not a box with gloves like that in this home, that's a problem in my book. Especially, why aren't we checking to see who? After Dylan says that, oh my God, we did a deep clean. Oh, I think Dylan's DNA is all over these gloves, for the record. Because we did a deep clean during Parents' Weekend. So you're probably not going to find any DNA of the killers in the house. She literally says this. Do you know what that would ever indicate to a detective? She's getting in front of the fact that there's a cleanup. Yep. Like, geez. Oh my God. It's so bad. It's so bad. And if you want to sit here and tell me want me to tell you what I really think, what Moscow, did you guys get played by a bunch of 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds? Did you guys get played, or did y'all help them in curating their stories because of the much larger issue that's going on in that town?
Or did they help them with some of the cleanup in between the time it happened and the 911 call? Yeah,
where's the undercovers? They said that they made 3 loops back there in that car. Well, I have it right here, and Mark, give Mark B hello kudos. I mean, Mark, I don't even know how many nights I was just talking to Mark B. I would look down. I'm like, oh my God, it's been 4 hours. I gotta go. So, I mean, Mark B, God love him. I'm telling you, one of the best dudes. And there is no undercover car that ever makes any loop around that property, or the loop that they say. They don't make one.
Well, we already knew that because of the Linda Lane. I'd stared at that thing for 6 hours looking for that dang undercover cop, and I never had seen him on Linda Lane, so I knew that sucker didn't come through there. Other than the 3 passes of the suspect vehicle number 1, I mean, that would line up with the report. This is the one that's about right there. This is the one that the crime scene expert determines that Xana's attacked right here because of this swipe. Until she realizes that it didn't come back to Xana, then she doesn't even give an explanation for it and says Xana's attacked in her room. It's crazy.
And because my question was, I want to talk about what is this? Because which way is it coming from? What is it? Like, what does she say that this is? What is that Paulette Sutton say
She doesn't. That's the problem.
Exactly.
We don't get to see her original examination of what she said this was. All we get to see is her new rebuttal of what she says it is now that she knows that she got the placard wrong and it doesn't belong to Xana. Now, how do you determine what type of swipe that is based off of whose DNA it is? That's not what a crime scene expert does.
Never.
You can't say this is caused in an attack because it comes back to Xana and she's attacked right there. Oh, it's not Xana's. Nobody tested it. Oh, okay. Well, let's just not talk about it. Xana was attacked in the room.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. And it's like, wait a second.
Gone.
Right there. And that's why I think her assertions and what she said in her opinion with the Holly Bobo case, I literally took a football and I punted it after I put Paulette, nothing but a punter. And I just literally videotaped myself punting a football with Paulette's name on it saying, "You ain't shit, girl," because you nailed it. This is ridiculous. This is like, people go to school, they say, to become, these are educated people that have pride. You could not pay me $1 million to tell you what you want to hear on a report. You know why? Because I got so much self-pride that I could never get by. Like, you're trying to buy me, right? I can't be bought. And I feel like that is completely lost today. Yep. I think every single person involved in this case could be bought. I think
we could probably take a history of cases. We could take Paulette and maybe go back and look at some cases, and there's probably going to be some similarities to her, just saying whatever needs to be said, just like you can take Turby and he'll go to cases that we know there was a lot of questions about. It seems to be a pattern forming.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. I know that this was actually on my list as we were going here. What do you think? Because I lost it the other day. I said, who do these people think that they are to literally lie and act like we're just going to leave all of our swabs overnight. We're going to just leave them here. I'm like, why? Why are we leaving these here overnight? Like, right down the street is literally, I mean, what's going on here? Yep. And then not only do they do that, but they then the girl writes up her report, Janine Ayers, and she's adamant that she hands Talbot at 8:40. I'm handing you this evidence. And then months later, they take the report and Talbot's crossing it out. And he's like, I didn't get that until 10:41, not 8:41. And I'm over here like, wait, but you cleared the scene and you're out of there at 9:21. So wait, who was sitting where with the evidence? And here, I'm going to bring it up right now.
We know who was sitting there, though.
And I want you to tell everybody, who is it?
Who did they relinquish the duties of watching the house the night of? It's in the reports. Rosendahl.
Rosie was there. But this is not on the night of. This is on the night of the 16th, which I'm trying. I'm going to pull up this one.
Oh, I didn't even realize that they didn't take everything. So I know they started on the 16th and they finished on the 17th. So they left everything there that night.
Oh yeah,
I didn't even see that part.
I lost it over here. I was like, am I really reading this right here? Oh God. Okay. So on 11/18, this is continued, and it says they cleared. This is sharing on your end, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They're saying that they cleared. Make it bigger. Cleared the house at 9:14. Do you see that?
Oh, yeah.
21:14.
I was like, no, I see 21:14, Lana. No, yeah, 9:14.
Okay, yeah. So 21:14, so 9:14 p.m. And it says Moscow PD is there, but they don't list who the people are there from Moscow PD, okay? And then it's Janine Ayers, Haley Youngling, Tara Martinez, and Wyatt Berry or whatever.
Yep.
Okay. Then it says we have this combined / package of evidence, SS outer envelopes, briefed Sergeant Gilbertson, so he's there, as to the findings inside the house. Now look at this. Footwear, movement through house, Layton's. And I'm like, you guys aren't talking about movement through house. Like, I don't see that that's being talked about at all, but whatever.
Well, what's weird though, just to point something out, because you're talking about the 16th, They should not have even known about the footwear, the movements through the house,
Well, this is
or
the 18th.
latents until the 17th when they applied the Amido Black, because none of that came out without Amido Black.
Yeah,
And
no,
they
this is
didn't
on
do
the
Amido
18th,
Black
though.
on the 16th. They did it on the 17th.
Yeah, well, this was on the what I'm reading here was on the 18th.
Oh, okay, it's
though.
on the 18th. Never mind.
I can back up to show you though
Okay,
that
I believe you. I'll shut up. I just said all that for nothing.
no, but they kept it. I'll show you where they kept the evidence. Hold on, right here. So, crime. This next one right here, they kept the evidence there. Okay, all evidence swabs SS by WB, zip tied SS inside bag to remain in scene overnight. See that?
Yep.
Okay. So they left it there overnight, and this was on 11, like I said, on the 16th night.
On the 16th, yep.
I'm sorry, on the 17th night. On the 17th night, because it's continuing here. 11.
Oh, well, then that means that they had completed all the tests on logging the evidence and everything then, so there shouldn't have, they left everything there. Wasn't just some of it.
Whatever they had on the 17th.
Yep.
It's all there. So then when they say that we get there on the 18th and we're en route at 7 a.m. and I realize, well, wow, you're coming from a hotel then, because at 7:44 you're there. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't have possibly be coming from anything further than a 40-minute drive. You know what I mean? And then you see how this is added where it says cleared. Now watch this sick shit here, Pav. I couldn't even believe it. If you go down here and we get to right here, cleared house 9:14. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Then this is all the people that were there. Hey, we're talking about Detective Talbot tells us, he briefs us on the scene as the progress prior to his departure. So if he's departing prior to his departure, then Carrie and Wyatt left scene at, do you see that says 9:10? That's 7:10 to respond to the scene that they went. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the 18th. That's them going to where Gower is to go into his car, right? Carrie?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. Then all evidence turned over to Detective Talbot there, and they said at 8:41. Dude, how do you mess up? And they're like, I didn't get that at 8:41. I got that at 10:41. But then I said, now all of you people are nuts, because this whole clearing at 11, well, somebody decided to come back in here and put up over here in different pen in the notes and say that this was at, where is it? Right. Cleared house 9:14. If you cleared the house at 9:14, right there, cleared at, see that 9:14 over there? That was added. You see that added crap?
Yep. Different pen, different color, everything.
Yep. And then clearly you're starting to write
like the person that wrote that up there had written all this right here.
Mm-hmm. But then how about we get to this? I think that you're going to know what time you handed over all of this evidence, and you're going to sit here and tell me that you wrote down that you handed this to him at 8:41, and he comes back all this time later on 2/14/2023 to say, no, I didn't get that stuff until 10:41. So where were y'all when you cleared the scene then at 9:14? Where was this evidence just chilling from 9:14 until 10:41? Please tell me.
Yeah, see, that should be in a motion to suppress.
Right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is unbelievable.
That's one thing that we didn't say. The motions to suppress were very lacking now that we see all the evidence that they could have asked for suppression on and all the reasons. It seems to me like they could have had 100 motions to suppress for different reasons, and they only had about 15.
Well, I think so. My thought on that is that Ann Taylor needs to show the incompetency, right? And so we're going to talk about this sheath. And in order to show that that sheath was totally contaminated and we have no idea where any of that shit came, is we have to show the work. If we suppress the stuff, then the jury can't see what a shit show this is. Yep. And it's just like the Karen Reed case. We could have suppressed things, but then we can't show the jury how ridiculous these Solo cups were, how ridiculous this Proctor having the clothes on the floor for 10 days and not packaging it up. And then there's no chain of custody, but hey, we need to show this to the jury in order for the jury to see that none of this can be trusted, because it is so unreliable, because it's been completely contaminated, or the possibility of it being contaminated because of the way that it was handled. Here it is. Like
But
there's
do you
evidence
think
missing
it, you
for
think it
hours.
would have been a better strategy to show all that to the jury and take a risk on just overloading their brains versus getting it suppressed?
Well, because if you're, I think that if you didn't get the sheath out with IgG, then yeah, because I want to show that.
I mean, because with the sheath, we could come up with at least 10 different examples of chain of custody on that sheath and the samples.
Mhm.
Yet there was never a motion to suppress for anything surrounding chain of custody or anything on the sheath or the samples.
Well, if my this is how I think of it. If my trial strategy is to show this jury that Brian Culver was framed and that was planted, I want to show all of this. That that sheath was planted. They have all of this evidence that they had. Okay, none of it comes back to him. Not a single thing. The only thing that's tying him to this crime is that foreign object. That's literally. I think there's only like a couple pictures of it, and we can't even their own Paulette Sutton woman. She can't even speak to if there's a void in the sheets because the actual sheath was actually there. Because there should be a void and there should actually be a huge little spot that if you look at the sheets where it's missing the spatter, where is that? Where is a picture of that you can show me the sheets where the sheath was at, and it clearly has their spatter on the knife sheath, right? Well, that should be a void where it's laying right there. There should be a missing section of blood that was actually hits the sheath instead of the sheets.
So what you're saying is there should be a picture of the sheath there with the spatter, pull the sheath up, and there should be a blank spot.
There should be a void.
Yeah.
And what I saw that wasn't in this girl's report is talking about that. Where is Paulette Sutton saying that in order for you to say that this sheath was planted, okay, there should be, you should be able to say like, look, the sheets don't even match up with the stain that's on the back of that sheath.
One thing is interesting is I really looked at the surrounding area where the sheath was found, and you can see there's really tiny dots of blood all around that area. And then when you look at the sheath where they tested it on what they call what is it? Q1.4, with the 4 little blood dots on the back of the sheath.
Yeah,
it does kind of match the area that it was found as far as the little tiny blood dots around it. But the results on 1.4 was 83% Kaylee, I believe, and 17% Maddie, which is really strange considering how small those little dots were.
Yeah.
And usually little tiny dots of blood are either from aspiration or high velocity impact. And even though Joseph Scott Morgan said, he admitted that that was, that's typically from high velocity impact. High velocity impact's a bullet. So it's either from aspiration or from a bullet. But I thought it was kind of strange that, you had that same pattern that was on that portion of the knife surrounding what was on the bed sheets.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you replicate that if it's not there, but I don't know. Everything's confusing about this freaking case.
Well, and I think, that goes to the whole processing of it. Like when I saw how they processed them more, they didn't even take the stool in that case. Like Dr. Drake is supposedly sitting on a stool that he then gets shot through a window and hits him, right? Well, don't you need the measurements of how tall the stool was off the ground, right? And then that way, well, how tall is Dr. Drake and how tall is his torso then if he's sitting? Is that even possible? Well, what do? They don't measure any of that, and they discard the stool.
And they usually take a laser, don't they, and measure all that and show the trajectory of the bullet so they can,
Yep.
Wasn't it the same people, though, that investigated that case that did this case?
Yes, it was, sir.
Well, why would you expect any different?
Yeah, that's why I was like, I cannot wait to see how they think that they process this crime scene, because I saw what they did in the Drake chiropractor case, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, this is going to be a shit show.
It looks like they decide what happened and then get the experts and investigators together and say, investigate exactly this and prove exactly this, and anything that doesn't match it, don't put it in there.
Yeah. Okay, so my next area to talk about is, all right, so Steve Gonsalves has come out, and obviously they filed the lawsuit. Okay.
Mhm.
We didn't get to talk about that at all the last time. I don't even think. I think it came public. I think on the 6th. I want to say
Yep.
of January. So we couldn't have even had the opportunity to talk about it. Have you looked at that at all?
I have. Well, I mean, I've looked at what they put in there as far as their evidence, and a lot of it is. I mean, they literally put in the lawsuit that there was reporting that Koberger freaking followed the victims online and all that, even though there's no evidence in the case files, and the police say they didn't find anything. So, I mean, that's about as far as I looked into it.
Okay, so then you hear about Steve coming out and saying that the timing advance, we got some timing advance records, and because I think Jesse Weber, the way that he posed it is like he's trying to talk about the crime scene photos that they've been just bombarded with, and basically does this like, are you learning new things? And they were like, yeah, we didn't even know that this or this happened, and
Well, that was one of the things, because when I did that response to Birdie the other day, I started.
I like that video.
I said, look, man, here's the victims, Maddie and Xana, and I said this is why, and I showed that new report of the time in advance for Maddie and Xana, and then when Steve G came out and said, no, I think it's other targets. I think we got time in advance. I knew exactly what he was talking about because I'd already looked at that, but when we go back, that was that thing I sent you earlier. When you go back to the defense's response during the Franks to the time in advance, was it Franks or the Lemony? I think it was the Franks.
Yeah, it was the Lemony at first, though. They were trying to keep the timing advance out.
Well, when they were talking about receiving all the time in advance records from everybody else in the case and not Koberger's.
Yeah, and that's how they realized they got some and they weren't supposed to.
That there was 2 of them that they were focused in on time in advance reports for, along with somebody else that they won't name. So I remembered that as soon as I seen those 2 names in that time in advance or in the CSLI box that they just released, and it was Maddie and Xana. In my mind, I immediately went, dang, I've been waiting for that for like 6 months. And I went back to that other one, and it matched up. So it tells me, I think Steve G knew that. I think he knew it the whole time. I don't think it was new information for him. I think he seen it and went, crap, I better get out in front of it.
Okay, so your opinion here is that, oh wait, this thing, hold on. Sorry, my computer just, okay. So your opinion is that you think that the timing advance records that he's talking about is the timing advance records that belong to Xana and Maddie, because they did another, like they preserved basically that area and then they realized that they didn't do it. So like, let's go ahead and produce these timing advance records.
Well, yeah, you go back, if you look at when they were arguing this, they said that they had 3,700 time in advance records for everybody inside the area of the tower dump.
Yeah.
But they were only going to focus on 2 of them. And we just didn't know who the 2 was way back during that initial argument. But the new ones that just come out that you sent me, first thing I looked at was it was going to show Koberger and relation to Maddie and Xana. And that's how I knew who the 2 timing advance records that he was talking about went back to that other filing that they were arguing. They wouldn't name them in that. They said there was 2 of them. And then when it comes out in the unsealed document, it says Maddie and Xana.
Okay, but hold on though. Okay, so I'm going to tell you that how does Maddie and Xana's timing advance records prove, because in order to say that somebody is stalking, like if you're going to say I'm stalking whoever, you would have to have my timing advance records.
Well, not necessarily. All you would have to have is theirs.
Well,
and then have a general CSLI of yours if they were going to imply that you were stalking, because you know what you can do with that. You can put the dots wherever you want if you don't have a time in advance. So if they don't have Kobergers, they can put Maddie and Xana here, and then they can just move their dot over to Maddie and Xana and say, this is what the records show us. If they have a timing advance and it doesn't put him where they want him, then it screws up their whole narrative. Therefore, they would want to hide the time in advance from the Koberger team.
Well, that's what they did. They had the timing advance of Brian Koberger. So what I believe Steve is talking about is that he is now either in possession of the timing advance of Brian Koberger, that he has what.
I don't
You
think
don't
so. I think if they hid those time in advance records, they would never let Steve G have have access to them.
Oh wait. Why do you think that? How do you? I never said how Steve G got him though.
Oh well, you think you got them from the FBI?
I don't think that he got them from the prosecution or anything like that, or Nick Balance or anything like that. Like, but there'd be another way to get them.
How could Steve G get them if the defense couldn't get them?
Why do you say the defense didn't have them?
Because they argued they didn't have the time in advance for Koberger.
No, what they argued is that the timing advance exists and to give them to us. They never said.
You think they had them?
Absolutely, I think that they had them. I think that they got them. Like that's the Boyd Jackson end of it. Like that's Boyd Jackson saying, "Yeah, I gave them that." They got something in discovery. Remember when Payne testified and he's like, "I testified and I saw Brian Koberger's timing advance." Like on the record says that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but why would you file a motion to get discovery you already have and not produce it during that fight with Hippler in court about him being a conspiracy theorist?
Okay, so I'm going to explain that. I need to show that you had them, right? I need you to supply me with the discovery. Whatever I was able to go get is irrelevant to, I know that you have something and you're not giving it up and they're over there dying on the hill that no, these don't exist, because if we are to say that they do exist, it then proves that you had them when you did the probable cause and you knew that Brian Koberger's phone is going over here and it doesn't match up with this. And you went ahead and you completely lied in the probable cause knowingly that while you had this. Okay. That's where I think Steve G, when he came out and said that Koberger had went past that house and talking about 23 different times, the only way that you're able to talk about specific locations with Brian Koberger is if you have those timing advance. Otherwise, and that's why WSU Bill Thompson's over here saying, no, we need to get completely away from this. Nobody was stalking anybody because we need to get away from the fact that we ever had these timing advance records because we never got them. We never saw them. But yet you did because, and your freaking Brett Payne got that question asked like, hey, yeah, so have you ever seen Brian? And then that's where those maps came from. If you were mapping something to do timing advance, where did you get these maps from? How did you develop these maps? And that's where Maury's like, what? I don't know. It played stupid. Like, I have no idea. Yeah, of course you don't. So I said to myself, well, Steve comes out and he's talking about, we have, here, I can pull it up. I want to use his exact wording. And I'm like,
well, let me ask you this, though, Lana. What if they did have timing advance from somebody that they've never mentioned, though? And that's who they really were matching up the time in advance to. Because it says in the original argument that you had two of the victims timing advance and one person who is still unnamed that was a person of interest at the beginning of the investigation.
Are you talking about like when they had Jack DeCourse?
No, they had everybody, 3,700 that was in the tower dump area.
Yeah.
I think there's a person of interest that they keep hiding from everybody that's in these sealed documents. That's a person of interest since the beginning of the investigation.
What day was that
I'm putting my birdie tinfoil hat on. I mean, I'm thinking they've got Kopaka's. I'm thinking Kopaka was in the tower dump and they have his timing advance records. And they know it. Nobody wants to say it.
Well, remember when Steve G came out and said that we were gonna blame this? They were gonna blame this on a fallen vet. Remember that?
Yep. Well, the only reason he would say that is if he knew something we didn't know. And if you think about the what he's talking about with timing advance, and you look at that strange extra name that was not named as a person of interest in the beginning of the case. If Steve knows that and he matched the time in advance up with tinfoil hat Kopaka's, then he knows something we don't know. And I think everybody knows something we don't know. And eventually they're going to say it. But that's just speculating, thinking out loud.
So you would give me some so then basically when he's talking about these timing advance records, what I'm trying to say is I don't believe that he's talking about any of the victims as far as he would need somebody else's to be able to show that their records, who I believe that what he's trying to say is Brian Kober was following somebody else and or whoever he's claiming, and that who was the original target, and was Brian Kober looking to possibly kill somebody else, but then hey, it just happened that it was this house. But I just want to use.
I don't think so. I think all he would need is who the people that they were focused on in that particular argument to show when the crime happened and the 23 prior trips. Because if you nail down just Maddie and Xana, they had time in advance records for all the other people too. But why only put Maddie and Xana in there in the argument around the crime and the 23 prior trips? By focusing in just on those two and not the other two, that would tell you who the targets are. I think that's what he's thinking. He was thinking the same thing I was thinking, really.
Well, let's ask ourselves this question. Can't you kind of reverse engineer this? Like, let's say that if we had Maddie and Xana's, right? And what we did is we kind of worked backwards from like the fact of, let's historically look and see what same IEM numbers are around them over the standpoint of from, I don't know, let's just do a month worth. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so therefore you were then going to see wherever Xana or Maddie's phone is going, right? Who's in this, who's in this circumference, right? And so what I'm saying is the FBI, how they would operate, what I think at least they would be operating is that you don't know who's your suspect yet, right? But if we're going to if we put a preservation order in, right, to preserve the data, because eventually, right, we believe that there's going to be a suspect that we're going to be able to identify, and the highly likelihood that they would have been in Pullman and or Moscow, Idaho, right? So we're going to preserve those areas. So we're going to, when someone says, well, they didn't know Brian Kohlberger within those 7 days. I'm like, it doesn't matter. If you put a preservation order in, you're preserving that area. You're preserving the records.
According to the state, they only put the preservation order in, though, for the people that was in the tower dump area. If the state was telling the truth, if the state's not lying.
Well, but I'm saying from the beginning, though. I'm saying, great, you have your tower dump, and your tower dump is from 3 to 5 in just the Moscow, right there within that 2 mile radius, half a mile radius. I'm saying if you go over to Pullman and you set up a radius around Pullman for 2 miles, right? And you did that off the rip, and you preserved the evidence in Pullman between 3 and 5, or 3 and 6. I mean, 2 and you're preserving the data.
But we've never seen any records that they did that. All they say is they preserved in the tower dump area. Well,
but hang on. That's what Cyray is saying, is that the FBI went so left. If they didn't do this is so off the norm. That's what his argument is all about, that I know how they operate. And right off the rip, they would have done X, Y, and Z to preserve all of this data. And for them not to have done that is so far veering away from how you normally operate your operations. And that to me is, why aren't you preserving? And I think that they did. I think that that's the argument here, is that they did.
Well, then we've got two possibilities the way I see it then. One is they did preserve it. They took the areas that all of the victims were in, cross-referenced with Kohlberger's, and it matched up, and it shows what 2 victims that he was looking for, and that's what they were going to show. Or they took the areas that the victims were in. They already had an idea of what 2 victims were the targets. And then when they got Kohlberger's information, they just tried to pinpoint him to match the 2 targets. So either they found out who the victims were because of Kohlberger's timing advance, or they already knew who the victims were or the targets were, and then they just matched Kohlberger up to the targets they already knew about. Question is, did they know who the targets were before or after Kohlberger?
Okay. So
does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm saying that this was so easy, though. Like they're acting like this is such a if you're going and preserving if the FBI comes in, they're going to do things how they normally do it, unless they have a reason to veer from the normal practice.
I would think they did just an unmasking of everybody in a 20-mile radius, like they typically do, and they just don't tell you because they're supposed to have a FISA warrant to do that. But that's what I would suspect that they did at the beginning, but they would never come out and say that. They can unmask an area of everything, digital, all your footprint, everything, but they're supposed to have a FISA warrant because it's a
exactly
Patriot Act thing.
Wait, now you just said what I was going to get into, but this would go into violation of what? Privacy rights, right?
Oh, yeah. That's a huge violation of privacy rights.
Exactly.
That's what Snowden was warning everybody about. It's a much
larger issue. Like what they did, they didn't have any search. They did not have probable cause to do almost all the shit that they did, right? They made up stuff. They lied to get probable cause for stuff.
But then again, we don't even know what they did with the federal grand jury because there's 52 subpoenas that nobody's ever got to look at. The federal grand jury issued subpoenas for crap we'll never even know. And then anything they issue, it's probably something that's off the rails.
So here's a little clip here when
1135 that hopefully will protect this type of information and make sure that it never gets out. Especially he played 4 cases of murder, capital, all of them, and in the same breath he waived his rights.
You shocked by that?
We had no idea. We had no heads up, none whatsoever. Through our phone starts going off.
That's people will say this information, the intention.
Here he comes.
How many injured in that?
No, I think there's some timing advance records that kind of lead me to believe that it was another person that they were looking for. I mean, Matt might have been part of that, but there was 2 individuals. But I think all the families tried not to
listen to what he said right here.
Go down a road where we blamed each other, or we tried to say one person's kid was more responsible or had a role in this or something like that. We tried to keep it. Unfortunately, we had to do this all together, and pointing at each other wasn't something we were willing to do.
No.
See, so that last statement they're talking about pointing fingers at the family wasn't something we were really wanting to do, and we were forced to do it. That tells me that he's known something more than we know from the beginning, or else why would the families point fingers at each other, and why did they have to work together? That wasn't something new. That was from the beginning.
Oh, okay. So he has like 2 different thoughts going on there. You never notice how he talks, and he's like, okay, so I said one thing and now I'm just moving into a completely different mind thought what he's about to say. So how I looked at that was like the timing advance stuff is completely separate from what he just said there. They aren't the same. Like that little what he just said there, I'm breaking up into 2 things. So
I'm combining them both right together. I think that's exactly
and that's
what
how. Okay, so that's why this is good. This is why this is good. So how I see that is in the beginning, okay, that you have 4 families, okay, and what they said to each other is, if somebody's kid was the target on why, if he was only interested in killing one person, and then obviously it was like the rest of these 3 kids ended up getting killed because Kohlberger really only wanted one person, or he wanted 2 people, okay? All right, but we're not gonna do that to each other and point fingers and say, that it was your kid that got all of the other kids killed, and that it was this, because that has come out before about that, like that. We're not gonna. That's what he means by the role in it. To me, I'm not saying this is my opinion. Okay, when he says the role, like what kids' roles were in it, he doesn't mean physically they're part of like killing people. He means what role in terms of that one of these kids was the target, okay? But it led to the death of everybody else that was killed. That's how I take that portion. But we're not going to do that to each other. We're not going to point each other's fingers. He just has a different way of, I believe, just saying things. So that was how I took that. And then the beginning part, which was listen to the question that Jesse Weber asks, which is, how are you prompting that this is the response? So Jesse Weber says this, it's like almost like Steve doesn't care what people are going to ask him. He's using the platform to
basically,
just,
in my opinion, he's asking who do you think this is the reason why these were the two targets, and Steve's correcting him. He's like, nope, got time and advance records. The two targets are two different people. The new time and advance records that came out were Maddie and Xana. That's the brand new stuff that just hit. So he's correcting who the two targets were, but I believe that those statements go together, and he's always known. But that's me with my tinfoil hat.
The report that you're talking about is the timing advance, that rebuttal that
the one you just sent me, because that is the only new document that's come out that actually shows that information. And I think Steve's seen it and went, oh crap, and he's getting out in front of it.
But I don't think it's new though. Like, it may be new to but it's
the first time we've ever seen who those two people were that they were talking about in the motions back in January of 2025.
Yeah, but it was everybody. I thought everybody just knew that because you guys, AT&T timing advance records only are available for people that have AT&T. So there is no AT&T for anybody that, like Verizon. Kaylee has Verizon. So the AT&T timing advance is only for people that have AT&T providers.
But
so then if you want
the only
Verizon
people that would know that though, Lana, are people like you and crazy people like me that actually have gone through and looked at all that.
Okay. See,
every normal person out there would have just seen that there was two people unnamed that they were going to focus in on until that new report came out that put the names in.
Oh, see, then I guess that's why I'm like, what new report? Yep. So I'm over here like, what did Jesse Weber ask for Steve to even mention timing advance? That's where I'm just like, I just think he's using this platform to say whatever he wants here because this is a dig to me at Bill Thompson to let Bill Thompson know we have what you said didn't exist, you fucking piece of shit. We got it now. That's what I think this little knock is, but that's just me.
That could be it. I think it's Steve letting people know who the targets were.
Okay, so that's and I think it's honestly it's either going to be that what you're saying or it's going to be what I'm saying. To be completely honest, it's one or the other. Anything else just doesn't make any sense, right?
Right.
Okay, so here, this is what Jesse Weber says for Steve to say what he says.
We had to do this all together.
Oh, here, gotta go back.
Give you an indication that by all four were the attack. That's awful. And now you are confronted with this.
Okay.
People will say this information can help maybe shed some light into the timeline of the attack, the intention of this. The injuries sustained by all four were awful. But the injuries sustained by Kaylee and Maddie and where they were positioned and how many injuries they sustained to their face and neck, does this give you an indication that Brian Kohberger was targeting them specifically?
No, I think...
And so he says no. Now, I do that sometimes when I'm not trying to say like, no, you're wrong, but like, it's like, no, I want to just kind of just say this, like what you kind of just asked me. And let me just say no. And now let me just say this part.
There's some timing advance records that kind of lead me to believe that it was another person that they were looking for. I mean, Matt might have been part of that, but there was two individuals. But I think
there was another person that they were looking for. So what do you think about that?
Maddie might have been part of that, but there was two individuals. So he's saying it's not Kaylee, it was Maddie and another individual.
But what if it was two individuals and then like Maddie is like the plus? So it would be like two people that we don't even know about right now.
No, because he specifically mentioned new information to come out. Can you pull up the
report?
The report that goes to Nicholas Balance and what he was going to testify to?
Yes. Let me pull up. Hold on one second. Let's see. This has been weighing on my mind a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully so, because this is like, I felt like Jesse Weber was talking about the time. Like, does this give any indication about the time when this happened?
The only reason I was really focused in on it because they put in a big old box.
Yeah.
Kohberger, Maddie, and Xana. So it's like right there in your face to go, oh crap. That's what he's talking about because that just came out.
Okay. So did I send you that? As I'm just going to open up from the email that I think I sent you.
And it's the Nicholas. It's where it goes into Nicholas Balance, what he was going to testify to, the Nicholas Balance portion of it.
Okay, let me see here. Was that on? Why do I think that? Was that on 20? What was that date that I?
You sent. Oh, I don't know.
Hold on
I've
one
got
second.
the report right here.
So
I
many
can tell you what
things
page it is.
Okay. Well, I think I was like, you know what? I needed to.
I've sent you 1,000 emails, so it's probably hard to
I know.
find.
I was trying to see if it was under that. You know what? Can you just send it back? That way it just pops right up for me.
Yep.
Okay, that'd be easier. Because I'm like, oh my God. And then I just have all of these. I got so many Google files open right now. I'm like, this is, I can't.
Let's see here.
Oh. Mm-mm-mm. I think Steve G has subscribed to Poppy's Theory this whole time. I love reading these comments, you guys. You guys are great. Let's see. Oh, Karen, yeah. What did you say? What a great live with my firecracker pot. Yeah, so excited. Yes. Oh, William. All my fam in the chat. Best fam ever. This must be someone important for all the cover up who you think they're protecting. I think they're protecting the University of they're protecting Washington State University and University of Idaho this whole time because it's like we're not going to go down in a blaze of glory with this whole thing. Like,
oh crap, where's it?
If we could have prevented this, do we know that Brian Kober was, I don't know, doing controlled buys? And it's like, oh my God, like that can't come out. I don't know, guys. I just think that.
Is that the right one I sent you?
Oh, you just sent. Hold on.
I think that was the right one. I couldn't read the attachment, but I resent the one with the attachment.
Okay. And let me see. Let me check my phone. It'll be easier. I think I just got it.
Let's see. And it's yeah, I always have too many boxes open. Unredacted report.
Oh, yep. Got it. We're golden. Okay, sweetness. I love when you say, I'm putting on the tinfoil hat like our boy Birdie.
Yep.
Love him. Let's see. Okay, it's opening. Oops, so that it was. What page did you say it was on?
I can't find the dang thing to tell you what page.
I think I got it. It's like in the first 6. It's like his report
it's
in the
before you
beginning.
get into the forensic results.
Got it. Page 4. We're good. Okay, so we're gonna go to homie here. Okay, reason. Sorry for that delay. We're back. We're back in biz. Okay, so this is page. Oh boy. So this is Nick Balance, Exhibit 2, Nicholas Balance.
All right, so if you go to page 3, I think, where it'll have just a big box right there.
Okay, yep.
So that's what I believe Steve G is talking about that just came out, because obviously if it just came out, it'd be in this record dump, and that's right there as big as you can see.
Okay, so I just want to show you guys the dates here. This is why this is old news. This is his rebuttal. I look at this as old news. Look at the dates of, okay, so AT&T records for Brian Koberger. And you got the date that they're saying it's located on the hard drive, and then it's an AV number 180 AV228. Okay. Date discovered 4/5/2020. 3 is when the prosecution, that's what that's considered. 4/12/2022, 2023, and then the AV228 is 5/18/2023. Well, that's all right before what's his name writes up a report, Mowry. Then AT&T records for Madison Mogan and Xana Cornell. Now this is when they went back the second time. So the first one is 4/5/2023. And when they're saying that the date that it was discovered, how I'm understanding this is that consistent with the prosecution's date, and when are they going off of that date? Okay. Because this is the prosecution writing this. This isn't Nicholas Balance's part. This is them writing
The way I take it is it was discovered to the defense in the hard drive for AT&T records on 4/5/23, but then they rediscovered it just specifically for Maddie and Xana on 5/16.
Okay, so no, that's not what they did. So on 5/16/2024, this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
They then realized that Brian Kober moved to Washington. And so what they did is this is when they went back and were like, we're going to be asking now for the historical records from to go back further. Okay. And so we want the historical records because Brian Kober was in town. We found out now we only started it in, I forget what date it was, like September or whatever they did. They went back then to June, the end of like June 30th, because of when he physically got to that area. So that's what Cyray and them are then saying is like, wait a second. How are you going back and this is how I'm understanding it. How are you going back and getting this information that you're now wanting to go get more historical data, right? Yep. And the only way that you could do that is if you would have preserved, if this is AT&T, that means that area, you preserved the record. Like you went and you preserved it. And so if you're providing us with Madison, Mogan's, and these people, where is Brian Kohlberger stuff?
And then the prosecution came back with, well, we preserved everything within the tower dump radius, but we didn't preserve Brian Kohlberger because he wasn't in the tower dump radius.
Well, their answer to that is that we didn't know Brian Kohlberger existed within the 7 days.
Within the 7 days of right.
But that doesn't have. But see, that's when Cyray was like they were playing the long game, and they're like, when I say they're playing the long game, they're like, we're gonna get them at court at this point because we're not. Hippler is not going to do anything, so we need to just like we try to do in the motion limiting. Have me talk, and then I'm going to explain. Well, no, this is if you've preserved an area. That's what I was trying to say a minute ago. Is that the preservation order would have preserved all this AT&T. It's like, okay, do you guys remember there's that bomb, the bomb that went off January whatever day? The bomb, what was it? The January 6th, that bomb over there for the White House or the W. They went ahead and they preserved the area of the data for the phones. So that because they didn't have a suspect yet, but we're going to eventually have one. And then we want to preserve this data for this area of the phones for that time period. And then once we discover a suspect, then we're going to look at the data of that area and see, oh my God, yeah, look at, we have their phones entering and moving around. But if you don't, that's what Cyray was saying is that this is so far out of the norm that you wouldn't have preserved the data because you don't have a suspect yet. So
right, but you got to think about it, Lana. That's what you and I know.
Yeah.
But what Steve G, if we're to believe what he says, that the state doesn't really give him information like that. That's what he continues to say is he hadn't been getting this information. Then all he would know before they put these two names right here are what was written in the motion back in January. That attachment I sent you earlier that's got the little clip from that motion in January where it lists two people, but it doesn't put their names.
Yep.
If we were to believe he's telling the truth, until this document came out, he wouldn't have known those two names were Maddie and Xana.
I think I have something that I think that listen, I'll just tell you this. I'm telling you right now, he knew that he knew that those were those people's reports. I'm telling you, because all they did is they just went and they went and got more info because, hey, we're trying to do everything we can to link Brian to stalking one of these people. And then they realized that, oh my God, when we did this, we didn't go far enough back. So there's those new search warrants where they go and they're like, they have to go and get Xana and Maddie's and they go back further. They did it with Facebook even. They messed up something with that. So they had to do that again. But what I believe that Steve Gonsalves is mentioning here is that this whole time, the one thing that we could have that would seal up this whole stalking thing, and then we're going to show that WSU's on the hook for this because he was stalking. If we have Brian Kohlberger's timing advance records, right? That would show him stalking WSU students. That would show who he was possibly stalking that was in that area of Moscow that the targets were actually these two other girls, but he was looking at doing that, and then he decided that I'm going to go and hit this house up. And if people can say that I'm wrong, and I'm telling you right now, I have a source. And that's all I'll say.
Well,
that's all I will say. So please listen to what I'm just saying right there, is that if you play that back, what was really interesting that I heard him say is that, well, we came across these timing advance records. I have these and it's like, maybe he's talking to somebody else. Maybe he has, I don't know. Maybe he has a new source.
He might. I don't think quite that deep. I look on a surface level. If this new report comes out and it's got Maddie and Xana there, and he says he got it from a new report, I go, bam, there you go.
I think he's using that.
It could be so much, and it likely is so much deeper than that. But on a surface level, that's pretty bam.
We'll see. I think it's gonna get really interesting. I think this case is on a path. Let's just
in the end, the crux of it is, if Kohberger really was stalking him, he's likely guilty. But if Kohberger isn't guilty, then he wasn't stalking him.
No, the timing advance records don't prove that Kohberger was stalking them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing.
It would narrow down to where he was in certain times, though. They could prove it better if he was stalking.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they sure could. But it would also,
if that was the case, then you would think that if they had his time in advance reports and it narrowed it down to where it proved their case more, then that goes back to why wouldn't they just produce them in discovery and enter them into the case?
I know, but I have that answer's easy, because on the night of the murders, his timing advance records put him somewhere totally else.
Oh yeah,
and so that's why it's like, and they knew that, and then they lied and they said, let's just use this video surveillance to say that he made this right instead of this left. And it's like, well, but he didn't.
But it could have only put him somewhere somewhere else, though, from after 448 and before 254. So I don't think it would have been that big of a deal if they could have proven well, I mean, heck, if it proved he was somewhere else, and it would have screwed him anyway. Well, but if he's, so you're thinking that the time and advance reports prove stalking, or could prove closer to stalking, but they would prove more that he wasn't there that night?
Correct.
Okay.
Like, I think what it shows is that 1000%, but that Ann Taylor came out and said that Brian has drove to Moscow. Yes, he would drive around. Like she was saying this, but he was not, but not that night, not that night. And that's where it's like, what they did is hey, we're going to use it for this purpose, but then, oh, wait a second. But this is actually going to get him out of the night of the murder. Mm-hmm. But if we say that, and that's where they messed up. And that's where in the beginning, when Steve G was talking about that they can put him at that place and doing all that. Yeah, Steve, how do you have that information? It's called the timing advance report. It's called Brian Kohberger's time. That's because the information that you were getting, that you were being broke off with back then, they were providing you with, that basically says that you have Brian Kohberger's timing advance records. And then when they write up this probable cause, they realize that, oh God, if somebody really comes back on this, we lied about all of this because there was not probable cause. We made this shit up. But hey, we got, like, this is the right guy. So who cares? And I'm like, who cares? I'm like, this is crazy, because, and it goes to this big, larger issue, which is what's going on in Moscow. Like, what's going on in WSU? Like, what type of, are you guys running these undercover operative, we want to do these controlled buys, and then here your CIs and people are getting killed? I mean, what's going on?
So if I was to put on the birdie hat, then the conclusion to that could possibly be that Kohberger did the legwork of setting the thing up, but somebody else actually committed it, and he was more of an accessory than the perp.
I think it's more the route of, as if he was doing controlled buys, of course he would be going to that area and selling drugs to people for the purpose of giving it and reporting it to the this FBI task force that they said they put together for the purpose of finding underage drinkers and people that were selling and buying drugs, right? That would be something I could think that Kohlberger would weasel his way in and be like, hey, Pullman, I'm here to get my PhD, and I used to be addicted to heroin. And if there's anybody that knows the lingo, it's someone like me. And I'm just saying, like, so then you know that a guy that was helping you out and doing all of this stuff, when these crimes go down and y'all are talking in your inner circles and you're like, dude, there's no footprints leaving this place. They all thought that this was a cop at first. I am telling you, somebody had knowledge about how to clean up a crime scene or mess with stuff to stage things to make it look like this was not also done in 3 fucking minutes. So I don't care who did it. It wasn't done in the time frame that you guys are alleging. And then Aunt Taylor's in a catch-22 because she's like, well, I can place my client somewhere else during that time period, right? But if we move the time of the crime, then where's my client? Like, but let's all just call a spade a spade. You guys, everything that they have made up about that night in terms of this is what happened between this time and this time, I find it hard to believe that Kaylee just went to bed at 2:53 right when her phone stopped working. What sounds to me is that Kaylee was no longer able to do anything after 2:53 because she was no longer with us. So, and if Xana and Ethan were not home yet, I'm just throwing this out there, then it's 2 different times that the crimes could, if that happens up there with 2 people, and then you think that you're ready to leave, and then Xana and Ethan come home, well, then what? They weren't supposed to come home at that time, or we didn't think that that was happening yet, or I don't know, or 2 people that that's just what it would seem like to me, is that for Kaylee just to all of a sudden not make another phone call after 2:53, she just didn't pass out and fall asleep. Not when she was so actively on her phone, like you would expect to see. And then Dylan's telling you that Kaylee is walking around and dancing with the dog. You think that she just left her phone upstairs for an hour and 10 minutes? College students don't leave their phones for 10 minutes, 5 minutes. She's going to have her phone on her during the time frame of 2:53 to 4:05. That's just absurd. Like, I can't buy that.
Well, just thinking out loud, what if we're just thinking out loud with 10 full hats on, I'm going to say, what if at 2:53 Kaylee got a guest, spent some time with them, and that guest left a little before 4, and that's why she was in the living room with Murphy without her phone?
Just for that? Well, you mean
like if she had somebody come over and was her guest, that's why she stopped using the phone. That's why her bed's turned down, and maybe that's why she walked them out. She was in the living room happy and dancing around with Murphy.
Oh, you mean like she was hanging out with somebody for like an hour and 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Well, she hung out with Maddie the whole night with her, and she had her phone on her. I still think
hanging out like in the bedroom.
Oh, you mean like upstairs hanging out, and then was
in her bedroom where the bed's
for a little bit,
down.
and then yeah, you can leave. So you think that she attempted to try to get in touch with Jack D, or do you think that Jack D was the person that came over for a little bit and left?
I think she tried to get a hold of Jack D to come get Murphy because she had a guest coming over and she didn't want to have to take care of Murphy while she had a guest. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud.
I don't think that Murphy would have been that much of a trouble though. Like at that time, Murphy's just going to be, but I could see you having like.
She wanted Jack D to come over and he wouldn't.
And then so she called, person number 2, which happens in college. Sure, like it is what it is. I just think that we can all finally say, "Whoo, Pavarotti and Lana, we're right." I had to say it. We've been fucking saying, dude, this did not happen by one person. This was not in 3 minutes. This is absolutely absurd. And here, finally, I just was like, I'm not losing my mind. You're not losing your mind.
Nope.
Here it is. The experts are agreeing with our thoughts on this case. And it's like, not that I need to be validated, and I feel that you probably don't think that you need to either. But it's like, I'm just, now go piss up a tree, and you guys now are the conspiracy theorists.
I think it's going to get even bigger though. I think they're going to actually start having conversations now.
Yeah. And this, again, this does not mean that Brian Kohlberger is innocent by any means. This just means that their version of the events is not anywhere close
to reality.
To reality. And that's fine. You wanted to lie to the families. Now the families, I'm rooting them on so much. I want them to. I couldn't imagine being a parent being lied to after my kid was murdered. I mean, I would want them on a platter. So I root them on, and I say ease up like it's an onion. Steve and the rest of the families have to go at things to peel back an onion, you guys. And when it's going to start falling, and then hey, so there's only one way though to peel an onion, and
I think they should file more lawsuits, not just with WSU.
I think they will.
Where's the lawsuit against University of Idaho, MPD? I mean, everybody.
Yeah,
especially University of Idaho, because they were involved in blocking stuff and investigation. They know it.
Okay, and I got my last two big questions here before we ask anybody from the audience. Ready for this? Why did they not subpoena the internet records of WSU? They didn't go. Kohlberger's on their website, or Kohlberger's on their Wi-Fi, right? I was looking again. I was like, oh my God, like WSU, like that was the biggest hit for me in the WSU lawsuit, by the way, is the first thing that you would have done is we're going to go and get the internet, the Wi-Fi, the everything for that, to see what he was looking up, to see what he was doing when he was on, when he's linking up to the Wi-Fi, when he's off of it, when he turned down, where is all that? And basically what Steve and the families are saying is that that was never got, and that's available, and they want it, and it's there unless WSU deleted it.
So they didn't get the information, like even from Kohlberger's work computer. I thought they had that to be able to show gaps in in time that he wiped data or something.
Yeah, how I understood it is it was really perfectly said. It was like literally the last paragraph, and it was just that. Here, let me pull it up. It was just so well said. It's like, where is this? And this is what you would be using. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, oh my God, I have never come across a search warrant for anything to do with WSU.
Yep.
Yeah, like
I thought they took his work computer though, and that's what even the Celebrite people were looking into.
Yeah, but they said that it had been wiped down, and there was some he took measures to like get rid of some stuff. But if they offset that with, hey, let's look at the
internet activity.
Yeah, let's look at the activity all on the
server.
WSU server.
WSU has a server that actually would, anything he wiped off his computer would be on the server.
Yeah, you got to go for the server. Yeah, and they have access to that.
Anybody's ever been in a big business where your server runs everything? That server is huge. It records everything in that business. You can get anything from the server you can from the actual desktop.
Right. So think about that, though. You would have to, again, it's just this level of incompetency, and I just don't feel like it is. I feel like they purposely didn't go get it because it would show of WSU's negligence. That's what they're basically saying is like, dude, there was red flags everywhere about what they're saying he was plotting and using the internet there to plot out this crime. And whoever was going to be when you're going to go kill, you're going to go kill. But whoever he plotted, and he used your internet to do it. And everybody there signs away basically their privacy rights like a crazy person. And so you had access to look at all of this shit. And here come to find out that what it appears to be is that you guys didn't go that route. And
well, not only that, but if you look at his computer and you say he wiped his data and you didn't go any further, then I don't even think you should be able to say, well, he wiped his data, so we think there was information on there, but we couldn't find it, because that's not evidence. That's lack of evidence. I mean, I don't think you should ever be able to say lack of evidence is evidence.
You like that book title then?
Oh. Yeah. You know what? When I read that, you know what I thought of? The fat guy from that documentary that says sometimes no evidence at all is the best evidence. And I wanted to reach through the screen and crack him. But that's the title of that book. Reminds me of that guy saying that in that whatever documentary that was, Law and Crime or something. Sometimes the best evidence is no. Sometimes no evidence means you need to find evidence.
Yeah. They'd say like no evidence isn't it. Oh, I got it. Found it. Okay. Here, this is that last page, and you can tell me what you think of it. I think it's going to surprise it. I was like, wait a second. I thought the FBI did it. So that's why I was like, I didn't come across the search warrant because the FBI handled that. Okay. But now this lawsuit tells me, oh, no, we have an issue. And here, I'll pull up the last page and show the page. And then you're going to be like, wow, yeah, I think we do have an issue. It just goes to that whole bigger issue, which is why are we covering for Idaho? Why are we covering for the universities here? Okay, so right. It's right there. Okay, weeks before the trial. Okay. The following sentence. Okay. Page 91. Can you see this? Is it big enough for you? So it's like on his school computer. I'll read it and I'll make it bigger. On his school computer, forensic examiners found that Kohlberger had made extensive attempts to delete his internet usage for the period of the month before the murders. There was evidence that Kohlberger had been using his computer during that time period, but he made attempts to delete the specific details of his use. Forensic examiners believe that he was manually cleaning up his tracks in the lead up to the murders to conceal the plotting, planning, and selecting of victims that he had performed on this computer online in the preceding months. So the big thing is online. WSU would have possessed details regarding Kohlberger's use of the WSU RestNet internet network in the form of logs and other user data on its own servers that would have been unaffected by Kohlberger's attempts to conceal, delete his browser history. There is no indication, however, that forensic examiners were given access to WSU's data, which, upon information and belief, likely still exists unless WSU has deleted it. This is basically Cellbrite, the people that Steve has been talking to and working with. This is basically them saying, listen, when they asked us to come in and do this case, okay, they provided us with, this is the material. And out of all the stuff that they provided us with, something that we think is not normal is Brian Kohlberger was on a network or a server, and we can have access to that. Like, there's why aren't we given access to that to look and see? We're telling you that he scrubbed his stuff, but hey, we're telling you that if we can get on that server and we can look and see what's there.
See, here's the way I look at this. I think something totally different when I see what you just showed me here. Scroll back up just a little bit.
Absolutely.
When I see this, I get kind of mad and I go, okay.
Oh, wait, did I go far enough?
Where did it start? There, go down.
Here. That's I didn't say this one either. I should have said this, that apparently in preparation for the murders, Kohlberger turned off his Wi-Fi and cleared his search history. Forensic examiners believe this was an attempt to conceal his location and the potential evidence that would show he was not at his WSU Steptoe Village apartment at the time of the murders.
And that wouldn't, and Kohlberger would know that wouldn't do anything. Turning your Wi-Fi off and clearing your history, that just clears your cookies. And he knows forensic downloads of his phone would still show it. 1,000. But right here, it says, on his school computer, forensic examiners found that Kohlberger had made extensive attempts to delete his internet usage for the period of months before the murders. There was evidence Kohlberger had been using his computer during that time period. Doesn't say there's evidence that he was using the computer to do anything nefarious, just that he's using it. But he made attempts to delete the specific details of his use. Doesn't say anything about any nefarious attempts to delete nefarious things, just that he's using it and he's deleting stuff. Forensic examiners believe, that word believe, that he was manually cleaning up his tracks to lead up to the murders, to conceal the plotting, planning, and selecting of victims that he had performed on his computer online in the preceding months. It doesn't say we have evidence of, it says we believe. And then they make up all the stuff that they want to believe. So what it tells me is the defense should have filed a motion in limine to exclude any evidence from Celebrite that they were going to try to use as far as his history of this computer, because they didn't go far enough to get the data from WSU's internal server to verify their beliefs.
Okay, but I totally agree with everything you're saying here. What I have the question with, though, is let's back up as investigators. Let's say me and you were investigating this case, right?
Yeah. We can't stop it. Beliefs, we got to go get that information and prove it.
That's what we're saying is, that's what I'm trying to say is I was shocked to come to find out that why wasn't this obtained? Again, this comes back to this whole preservation shit. Why are they not going and getting the stuff that every day, you know, best practice is that you would go and get this? How is this not obtained? Or if it was, you have these experts that and this is where I get into they were protecting WSU. So did they actually get it? But hey, we're not giving that to the experts to use because that's going to expose WSU, and we're working together with them because they're working together with us. We're not going to expose us and take down our university. We're not going to set ourselves up for a lawsuit. So that's where Steve is like, you guys have protected yourselves versus doing right by figuring it all out. You get what I'm like?
I get exactly what you're saying. I get mad at the defense team though, because that was going to be used against him in trial based on Jared Barnhart's record. They were going to try to show a history of use and deleting stuff. So why wouldn't they have filed a motion in limine or motion to suppress based on the fact they could have got data to verify their beliefs, and they didn't? That should have been a motion in limine.
I think that they were going to go the route of, were you provided this? Why didn't you ask for it? So again, that's where it's like, this is all trial strategy. So it's like, we're going to use this against them because clearly if there was,
why wouldn't you want that out before the trial when you could get it out?
Well, because it's an incomplete, you're going to have your experts to show like that you guys, it's not our fault that this investigative unit decided we're going to handpick certain things to only give them. And so that's what I want to show to the jury to say, well, did you ask for that material? If you think that he was using it and it's scraped down, well, hey, he's on this server. Did you ask for it? Did you know that it existed? And then we're going to be able to say that to the investigators. Well, where's the material? Like if you think that Brian Kober was plotting and planning, the first thing you would have went and did was go and do this. And I want to make it seem like that they're hiding stuff. That's why I would not want to kick it. I want to use it to show that, well, normally you go and get that stuff, right? So how do we know that you didn't go and get the stuff? And it just doesn't show what you needed to show. And then now you're just acting like, well, we didn't go and get the stuff.
You know why I like to argue it that way? Because I think it's the right strategy if you go to trial.
Yeah.
What you just said, it's the right strategy if you go to trial. But the second you don't go to trial, now it's post-conviction relief.
Yes. So, I mean, I think that this blew my mind.
I think we're up to like 30 on post-conviction relief that were the right decisions during the process. But the second it didn't go to trial, then they became the wrong decisions.
I think it's the integrity of it all. Like, what that has to. I think if there's incriminating stuff on there, the only reason that you wouldn't come forward with it is because it incriminates WSU as well, because they were supposed to be. Now, again, think about this. Hey, you guys, we cannot have a huge wrongful death suit on our hands or a Title IX or all of this stuff. Like, we got to be super careful.
But they got one, so
they did. You want to know why? Because all those people came forward and talked to Idaho State Police and started saying all of this shit. Like,
but they ran their mouth after he was arrested. So that tells me that a lot of the mouth running that they did were like covering their own
it actually set them up
reputational self. Oh yeah, we knew he was like that. We're in forensic, criminology. Of course we knew he was like that. So I think they were protecting their own butts and got their university nailed.
I think that there's 13 complaints that did go forward ahead of time. No doubt about it.
Those were from students though that he was great.
1,000.
Yeah, 1,000. He was tough on their students.
He
may have looked at them funny and been weird because he's
weird.
He kind of like works, but
I just think that you can go to the file a police report too. Like, I'm just shocked that nobody. But that's the other thing that's coming up out of this. People are saying that they've dealt with the police there before, and it was like. It'll be interesting. That's all I know. If this continues and they keep doing this stuff, nothing is coming out that is the only damning evidence is going to be the opposite way, not the way of like the narrative of Idaho is going to be backed. I just think the more that this continues on, it's going to expose exactly how these people operate at those two universities, and that nothing matters other than those two universities.
You are completely right when you use that word. Where's the integrity? I think you put integrity, and just like you say, next to almost anything in this case, and nothing equals integrity about anything around this situation.
Nothing does.
Nothing.
In fact, it's embarrassing to the point that these people, I don't think that Ashley Jennings should have a job. I don't think that Bill Thompson should have a job. I think that these people should lose their pensions.
But let's get real. After looking at Ashley Jennings' performance in court, she shouldn't have a job anyways, even if everything was on the level. Come on.
I think my favorite argument is they act like a car can't turn around, and it's like, no, Ashley, okay. you have the video though. Does the car turn around?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah,
like the car can't turn around. Well, Ashley, does the car turn around? Because you have a video that lasts for lots of hours there. Does that car turn around and go back the way that you say that it does? No, it doesn't. So now what? It's so frustrating.
It's crazy.
Like the gaslighting that I see in courts nowadays, like when I watch the Turtle Boy stuff, like I was like, just shocked. I'm like, dude, why didn't we become lawyers? Because I didn't realize that becoming a lawyer is literally you just gaslight, you just spin city and gaslight people, and you keep it going. And hey, you know that if you have so many clients that you're going to make X amount of money, and because they need to, you don't settle anything soon, you got to keep somebody for a while, and then you're working together with the other attorney. I mean, it's the biggest circle jerk I think I've ever seen in my life.
Well, what I've been most disappointed about through this whole process is, you'd think laws were pretty clear, like this is not against the law, this is, but there's really no such thing as a law. There's just arguments on both sides, and the judge rules, and then it goes up from there. Yeah. I mean, almost everything, you can argue almost everything. There's no black and white laws. I mean, do not kill. Yeah, that's black and white. But then again, there's extenuating circumstances. Was it self-defense? Was it? I mean, it's just it's all gray areas.
What topics do you want to touch on that we haven't? Anything you want to say about the fact of the Dylan Mortensen? That we're not going to consider that any footwear over there because oh wait, the cops are all in here, so we shouldn't. What does that have to do with what you found up against the threshold of the door where she can't be possibly peeking out where at that end she'd have to be over here. I'm just like, do they really think that we're this dumb? I don't get it. I don't know.
I can't believe that made it into the probable cause affidavit. Like, we expect to find evidence once we get this guy of Dylan's footprint.
This was to bolster the fact that the killer walked that way towards Dylan.
We know Dylan because we got Dylan's footprint. We found it with Amido Black.
Yeah, I think Ann Taylor could have done a way better job. What do you think about that? Yep.
Well, because of her shortcomings, though, I think this thing has a long way to go with post-conviction relief. Like I said, I think we could all come up with at least 20 examples that would typically go a long way in court. And most of them are just trial strategies that she was waiting until trial, but it became the wrong strategy once it didn't go to trial.
Yeah. I mean, how long do you think that this trial would have literally taken? I mean, if Hitler was going to let the prosecution literally confuse the jury, and then the defense has to sit there and cross-examine these people to unconfuse the jury. I think that these cross-examinations were going to have to take a minute to, and then Ann Taylor's like, I got to show my, that's their story. Now we have to put out our story.
Well, but who knows even what they would have testified to, because I mean, it didn't like she could depose them. All she could do is go off of their recorded statements and the reports, which none of those match. I mean, how confused would you be as a defense attorney going into this to even know what questions to ask?
Who, let's see. Well, I mean, geez, this was going to be way more. I think it's going to be, people say 3 months. Like, this would have been, I don't know. Those witness lists, I think Ann Taylor was.
It may have went 2.5 months, and then both sides wanted a deal for it got to the end. Like, we'll just throw in the towel, both of us. We don't know what's going on.
What do you think about the fact that there's only one, like, that print from Dylan's, van, or let's say whoever it belongs to? Does this person only have one leg?
Well, I think it's very evident that there was some type of cleanup on the floor, on the second floor at least. When I look at the pictures on the third floor and where the blood is actually on the floor, it doesn't seem like there's there might be opportunities to not actually have got blood on the bottom of your feet.
Okay.
But when you get to the second floor, I mean, there's no way you cannot get blood on the bottom of your feet. And there is even, they have toe prints in Xana's room that they were not unable to match to anybody. So it's just crazy.
Oh, let's see which one I need here. Sorry, that was the wrong case. Totally wrong case there.
Told you, don't need to confuse me any more than I already am, Lana.
I know.
Like, I knew this case had that.
Right. Shit. Oh, I found out that Clint Bobo had a burner found that day. I can't wait to put that shit out.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I knew from the just from the casework that Zach Adams was 99% not guilty, but I thought it was the freaking pedo out there that just got released from prison that doesn't need to be out and about anyways, even if he didn't do that.
Right. Yeah, it's not even him. They try to frame that bastard. Okay, so if we go up to the upstairs, where are we at here? I had so many questions about. Oh yeah. Before we go up there, right here, were you trying to say, because they were saying that they were calling, I guess, the flower cart here or whatever. They were saying it didn't test positive for blood, but are you saying that they're
No, that one tested positive for Xana.
Yeah. Do you know that they put in there that it didn't? In one of their reports?
In the actual forensic reports, though, it did.
Okay, they did do that. Okay.
Yep.
And then here,
that one, and then there's blood drops on the floor in between there in her room that tested. It all tested all Xana going into the bedroom from the bar cart.
Okay. I mean, these are they started cutting out the
sheetrock. Yep.
Yeah. Where is? Oh yeah, these are the swabs that they just were like leaving around. You know that, right? This is them.
They boxed them up for anybody.
This is what they looked like, but these are the swabs done on 120. What is that? 1/27/2023. It's like they were swabbing stuff on, and that's I think
swabbing it from the sheetrock cutout. So.
Yep. And then this is Anne coming in and being like, "You need to collect this shit. Like, what are you doing? Like, what do you mean?" It's just like, what do you guys mean? I think that I would, God.
That one right there, that one is one that I have not seen go up to. It was the one by Maddie, by Kaylee's spot in the bed.
This
one more, or two more. That one right there.
Okay.
I have not seen an acceptable explanation for what caused that.
Okay. So, because this is when they cut it out. That's right.
Yep. Because it's a position up above the bed on the wall where it's at, and just the type of stain it is. I haven't seen anything that from any of their explanations that I've found acceptable to what actually would cause that pattern.
Yeah.
And I've been looking high and low, just trying to, figure out what that pattern means. I mean, I guess you could say it's partially hair, but I don't know.
Yeah. And that's what they were trying to say is some of that. And let's even say that okay. But this also the circular, and then they were talking about like this, and it's like, what can you like be like twirling around and like, I don't, you know what I'm trying to talk about? Like,
well, when I go back to the photos of the original stain on the wall, day one with the placard, one thing I find is really strange is that particular stain has more darkening and more scabbing than almost anything else I found in any of the other pictures in the house.
Okay.
as if the blood was created with non-oxygenated blood.
Oh.
And when, you talk about, Steve G's daughter, Olivia, what she learned down there was some of the wounds were post-mortem, if we can believe that. But that, I think, would be a good example of maybe something that came from a post-mortem wound just because of the scabbing in the blood. Nothing else seems to have scabbed that fast.
Damn. Like if you take what she said, you're right. Like if you take that, who told her that? Because that's when she was saying that somebody was like doing like it was like a, I don't want to use the word like, I think she used the word experimental. Remember that?
Yeah. But experimental, but she literally said experimental post-mortem.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said.
Yeah.
And then so because of that, somebody has to account for. See, that's where I kind of go with the whole sheet thing. Like, can you go over in that room, and then that's the type of blood that actually ended up getting on the sheath was way after the fact, because they were like, okay, now here, take this. This is gonna, and that's how I would argue it. If let's just put it that way. If I was a defense attorney on this case, how I'm going to argue it is that there's evidence of exactly what you just said, right? And then I'm going to include the sheath in
the post-mortem.
That's exactly right. And I think
everything I've looked at, the only thing that I've seen that could explain blood patterns like that is if the blood is not oxygenated when it's produced, and that makes it darker, makes it scab a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a post-mortem blood, then it should come out and I guess decompose faster, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and then let's talk about. Sorry, you just got me thinking about this other part. Let's talk about the comforter. No, because I'm just like, oh my God, I can't forget to talk about the comforter then, because taking from that's what I wanted to pull up was like the argument with the comforter. There should be a ton, like if somebody's stabbing, right, and you're going through a comforter to get to somebody, like you just pull down, like the
comforter's not,
the comforter doesn't have it. Yeah, and then it was like, okay, according to the defense, the comforter was laid on after, right? Mm-hmm. And then what do you think about the thigh and the blood, and that's like not like about moving and the staging? What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's exactly. I believe Kaylee was attacked in the living room downstairs, not unalive, but just attacked. I believe she was brought upstairs and put in the bed. Then the major attack on her happened just from the evidence in the house. But I think proof of that, at the very least, proof of it, Brent Turvey was saying was, look, there's a pool of blood, or maybe he didn't say this, maybe I just noticed it, but there's a pool of blood in the bed at Kaylee's legs. But Kaylee doesn't have any wounds below her upper torso to produce that blood. So it was like either that blood somehow pulled and got under her legs, or she was laid in a pool of blood. So either way, it's evidence of staging that she was moved to an area that was already bloody. And
that's what they were saying, is that this is basically, you can't rule
that. I may have said that, so you might take it with a grain of salt.
Well, the only thing that I think where that comes from, so I'm pulling this back up with this report, is hold on one second. When she was showing us what picture she was using, did this pop up on your guys' end? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we get to the part that he's gonna pop in and do his little okay. He does almost there. Okay. She says, yeah, that's the okay. Image ISP, yep, depicts the view looking across from the beer pong table towards the bedroom assigned to Xana. Okay, across the beer pong table is a metal console. Yep, on the right side. Nope. That's not the one I wanted. The transfer. Okay. Stain D is a transfer blood stain. Okay, yeah, this is what I want. Now, how you would be dumb if I was a defense attorney here. I am arguing that this person left out the front door. Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this stain D isn't, I mean, how is that not in Dick? How do you get that transfer if you're not going?
You can't. Yeah, you got to be on this side. That's why I thought for a long time that was Kaylee's, and I had it wrong. It was actually Ethan's. And I was saying she was obviously attacked on the stairs because it triangulated and the position of it. But once we figured out it's Ethan's, then somebody's absolutely going down the stairs after attacking Ethan and creating that stain, because you don't create it from the top or the inside.
Exactly.
What you're saying?
Yes. Yep. I'm like, this is like, and like that's why I'm just like, maybe this stuff is just common. And I'm like, look at these, you guys. These are lower than the pony wall. Those are lower than it. So the wall would have, this half wall would have actually stopped the stain 23, in my opinion, and 24 from happening. If this is, do you like how is that going up and over that? If it's
just so you know, stain 27 and 24 are both Kaylee with a minor of Maddie.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, how, that's what I mean about the void. Like you're the void that like it's just what and then see this diluted. This is her saying, yep, this is okay. Cast off is created when blood is released, obviously as the result of a bloodied object in motion. So it can also be like an object, a human, and then it's going. So the appearance of the blood stain reveals that the blood has been diluted by another liquid. Yes, how, what, how, where, what? And then these were the questions would say is that you can't rule out this, right? It could be from this, it could be from that.
Right.
Flow stains as demonstrated in stain 26 result from gravitational attraction. The additional testing of stain 26 shows that the presence of a mixture of DNA. So, and then I said to myself, hey, we haven't seen anywhere that there is 4 mixtures, have we? No.
There's nowhere where there's 3 mixtures anywhere.
Yeah. And so at least in the Delphi case, what I could at least give the Delphi people some credit about is they were over here talking about the girls at, there was 5 and 6 mixtures in and on the shoe or in like the jeans, and then like blood. And I'm like, what? How is there like that many mixtures in none of it?
There's no samples of anything with Xana's cross-contaminated, Ethan's cross-contaminated, only Maddie and Xana. I mean, Maddie and Kaylee.
Maddie and Kaylee, exactly. And
unless
if you
there's
one
some
weapon
type of evidence from the autopsies where they've got cross-contaminated blood that we haven't seen.
Don't you think that would have come in one of the?
I would think it would, yeah, but I can't rule out anything in this. If I say it's 1,000%, something will pop out and be like, Pop lied. Look.
Yeah. I don't know. So, yeah, but so we want to make sure that everybody understands this. For there not to be a mixture of, in my opinion, of all 4 at some point anywhere, even 3, even like 2 people from upstairs, okay, and 1 person from downstairs, or one of the people from upstairs. It's like it's 2 separate. Like this crime scene never met that crime scene. Is that, you get it? Like,
nope. But
how could that be with the one perpetrator and 1 weapon? That means that you think that he changed after Xana and Maddie. I mean, not Xana and Maddie, but Kaylee. That would require so much, like, all right, after when I'm upstairs, I'm going to change, right?
Well, he couldn't have, because in that scenario, he brought blood from upstairs, downstairs, all over the living room.
Yeah. Well, but did he change right there at the table? I'm only saying that there's only how I would have pause if I was on the jury, and if it was brought to my attention, because you got to bring stuff to the jury's attention. Like there is no, and that would be something that you'd be bringing to the attention, I would think, of the jury, that the people upstairs and the people downstairs, those 4 people, their bloods never mix. And so no wonder why when we were saying who was killed first, because normally you could see like okay, well, this person doesn't have anybody's blood in their wounds, but
and then it just stacks after that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I don't think that you can do that in this case. So that tells me that, wow, you know?
But how does 1 weapon kill 4 people and the blood doesn't stack from person to person?
Especially with the clothing, or the clothing doesn't, like, the transferring of, I mean, Xana's room, how does nobody leave that room with any type of a trail? Whoever was the killer, right? When you're leaving, okay, well, how did you leave and not? There's nothing there that shows that you left. He just flew out of there.
Absolutely. The ninjas, they don't have to walk.
And
they bolted.
So do you ask yourself, why would Brian Kohlberger and Ann Taylor take a plea deal if what we're looking at? How do you, if you're saying that you didn't do it, right, and you're so innocent, this is a case that how do you not go to trial?
Well, but remember the landscape around everything when they made the plea, they just leaked that Dateline BS, and the whole world believed he was guilty. So that's one reason why you wouldn't want to go to trial right then. I'd want all this to come out before I went to trial anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they're banking on that special prosecutor's investigation into the leak.
Why we haven't seen anything come about. So I'm gonna
maybe they're just dumb. I mean, I don't know.
The last part here is for everybody to see what the expert said. That was like, okay, here's my expert opinion. All right there. Oh no, not that one. Do you know what page he starts on that? I think maybe it's like 100.
Yeah, it's past all of the pictures where it gets into just the italics. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I think it's like 100. Oh, I'm gonna go to 100. Okay, here we go.
There you go.
Okay, so we obviously know that they made a huge mistake with the numbering. Okay, but look at what date that was on. Then on November 17th. Okay, when they remember this is the day that they left stuff overnight, and I'm like, what are they doing? And this is why there were so many problems. But so there was those issues. But let's go to the.
If you're looking for the one with the F, is that the one you're looking for? Her opinion on that?
No, I was looking for Dr. Brent Turvey for him to talk about the staging, or not the staging, but the. Here we go. So this is it. Obviously, we're not going to talk about the car. We know there's nothing in that car, but okay. There's no the sliding door. Great.
He makes the point of somebody had to walk out somewhere.
Yeah. With the footprints, and then this one.
The pose. Okay. There you go.
Here we go. Okay. I was really kind of, I was like, wow, they went as far as to say pose because this is what they said in the Delphi case. Okay. So I was like, wow, the two cases back to back so the evidence suggests that after both victims were killed or unresponsive, they were posed in their shared bed. Kaylee was moved from a position with her head on her pillow to partially atop of Madison. And this is something that Annie Potts kept saying, she's like, Lana, I'm telling you, her head was here and now it's here. And I want to know when that happened because I don't think that she could have done that on her own.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, well, then the comforter though was placed over them. And that's for me right there is to say this person that did this would have seen the sheath. Like, how are you not missing if you're posing, okay, that takes time. I don't care if it's posing for 20 seconds if you're to move you, but then you got to grab this but that sheath doesn't like fall out, that is hanging off right to the bed, like it's literally hanging, just like you just mudge it just a little bit and it's gonna fall down, right? So when I saw this part, I'm like, and I want people to get it, that I would be driving that home to say posing is a possibility, but not so Sutton is like posing is a possibility, but not a determination that can be made to the exclusion of other explanations for their positioning. So what you're saying is that these are all possibilities, right? Though, and she would have to say yes to that.
Then she did. Look, posing is a possibility.
Yeah, and posing is a possibility, but not. You cannot say that's definite. She says that Turvey stated, in quotes, posing requires an intentional act, and she says that this is what he says. This refers to intentionally arranging the scene for effect. In the present case, the bodies of Kaylee and Maddie were posed together after the lethal attacks suffered by both, and then they were, covered together with that comforter. Kaylee was moved from a position with her head on on her pillow to partially atop of Madison. These are discrete transfers on the pillow, consistent with contact being made by Kaylee's bloodied head. But these discrete transfers could be the result of several mechanisms. Because this is what she's saying, well, purposeful movement before she was rendered unresponsive. And I think you have to, I don't give any credit. I don't give any weight to that first one, in my opinion. If she's, well, before she was rendered unresponsive, like, that doesn't make any sense to me. If you're not, then you can move, you know? Movement of her head caused by blows or in response to blows by the assailant, meaning during this, and then the last blow moved her more or less, right?
Right.
Okay. And then the movement during the struggle, again, during that, I think that's kind of like what two's basically saying, you know? And then here, okay, intentionally or inadvertently moved by the assailant. How do you say, don't you think intentionally should be its own line and then inadvertently should be its own line?
Well, yeah, and it probably should be first instead of last, since it's the most likely scenario.
Right. So as far as she says, as for the comforter being placed over them, the spatter on the bottom sheet was limited to approximately chest level, with a limited distribution of spatter on the bottom sheet. It is difficult to determine with certainty that the comforter has been moved.
Well, why wouldn't you talk about the spatter on the comforter, not the sheet?
Exactly. Then wouldn't there be, and then that's what they're trying to say is, well, the lack of evidence doesn't make it evidence. And I'm like, I want to use the word void though. Like, if there's spatter missing that should be there, or I mean, what was blocking it? How is there nothing there?
Yeah. Why is that comforter so prone to not getting blood spatter on it, period? If there even was, because they don't address it.
Yeah. Right. So I'm just like, okay, but maybe this is how hard you have to try to spin it, because it's just like they gotcha moment. Like, how are we going to explain this? The extensive, okay, so Turvey makes several statements regarding the extent of blood that would be on the perpetrator. I mean, don't you think that this person would be bloody?
Covered.
Especially, you know, if you wanted to say not as much from the upstairs one, but Xana's room, are you kidding me?
It looked like there's a lot of spatter on the walls in Maddie's room. So, I mean, for spatters on the walls, it's going to be all over the person creating the spatter. It's not just going to spatter that way. So, well, that's what he says too. He said, man, this got to be covered in this stuff. Yeah. So, and that's what he says. Is like, and then she takes umbrage with the fact that this would have been I think that's a typo. This would have been basically, she has a problem with that language, and we get to that. But the extensive and close-up nature of the attacks on Xana and Ethan, along with the blood spatter and blood smears evident in the room, are evidence that the suspect's entire body, face, hair, hands, arms, chest hair, legs, feet, footwear would have been covered in blood. Well, Sutton takes the term covered in blood is not scientifically quantifiable. It's true, there is certainly evidence that the assailant in this case had some degree of blood stains on that person or an objects, plural, in their possession, and that secondary blood transfers resulted by subsequent movement throughout the house or throughout the scene. But she's saying that the number and the quantity of blood stains that were secondarily transferred in the scene was relatively small. Exactly. And that the footprints, that secondary transfer. Yep. Even during the violent activity associated with an assault, only a small number and quantity of blood was transferred outside of the bedrooms. Why do you think that, hun? Yep. Well, where she gets herself into a bind, though, is she starts arguing with him over blood trails. Yeah. And she says the victims create blood trails, and he says now the knife would have created a blood trail as well if it had blood on it. And there's no blood trails between the third and the first floor. So how can you have enough blood on a weapon to create all of that cast off on the first floor, but there's no blood trail whatsoever from the third to the first floor? Two things can't be true. Two things opposite of each other can't be true. Either there's a blood trail from the third floor to the first floor from the weapon, or all that blood on the first floor couldn't have been created from the weapon. Exactly. I mean, or are you trying to say that,
well, before they left, they wrapped this, you know. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's so the direct evidence, according to Turby himself, is saying that the direct evidence of this cleanup can be found in at least some of the diluted blood transfer, which was located in different areas of the home. And then the indirect evidence includes that the absence of bloody transfer from feet and hands, despite the movement of suspects within this home, the necessary opening of doors, and the absence of bloody footwear patterns at the scene in general. Like, just where, like, all of this would have required an extensive amount of time at the scene to clean up, perhaps hours, which is inconsistent with the state's theory, right? That these crimes were committed within a time interval less than 15 to 20 minutes subsequent 4 a.m. And I'm over here like, dude, they were saying that this was in and out. And like, literally, according to Dylan, if you think that Brian Kober did this and you're going to say that Dylan's text messages are contemporaneously happening, then you have 3 minutes to make this happen. Just so we're clear. Like, right? Because in her statement, she said, oh, when I heard that there's somebody here, when did you see him? Oh, like 10 or 20 minutes later. You did what? 10 or 20 minutes later? That's not what your text messages show. You know? So I'm just like, this is absolutely like crazy, you know? He says that there's at least 2 suspects were involved in this attack. This is indicated by the fact that multiple weapons were used against Kaylee, that multiple types of lethal force were used against Kaylee, and that Ethan and Xana appear to have been attacked at the same time. This is inconsistent with the state's theory that these crimes were committed solely by one individual. And so I'm going to leave us with this.
Yep.
How do you, if I'm a parent reading this, okay? If I'm a parent reading this, the state has been lying to me. We were supposed to have a trial. We don't have it. They lie. Then I read something like this. This isn't a YouTuber writing this. This isn't a YouTuber saying this. This is coming from these experts that are they've done a lot of high profile cases, right? And so to read this, how do you just
Simple, you got a $400 million lawsuit that you're waiting on. You don't want to say nothing about it right now.
Yeah, I mean, so you think that if there wasn't a $400 million lawsuit, this type of report would be received differently?
Wouldn't you?
Well, I would be looking at what I've been saying this whole time is why can't the undercover police officers have something to do with this? And then my wrongful death suit is suing the police department of Moscow for, $500 million.
I mean, I guess the real question is they're not speaking out against it by looking at this. So there's something stopping them. I don't think they're dumb.
Yeah, I don't think they're dumb either. I agree. I agree with that. I mean, this is also the first time that they would have seen it is when we're seeing it, right?
So they may speak out against it. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I want to know where those undercover cops were that claimed that they drove around 3 times, that lied.
Oh God, me too. So bad,
right?
So bad.
And the one guy took a picture of my daughter's license, right?
I wish they would just line up the investigators and say, look, man, you want a firing squad? We got the guns on you. We're going to ask you some questions that answer truthfully. I mean, that's what I'd like to do.
I put all these motherfuckers on blast. Excuse my language. But I would, this is just, so if I'm reading this, I'm just going to be like, these people are they're getting paid to say whatever. So they're going to say this, that's really what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, Bill Thompson knew the whole gag. Remember the whole bound and gagged, and they hurry up and try to shut that down. Do you know who that leak came from? That came from the police.
Yeah. Well, Steve G said in that closed hearing when we got the transcript of it, hey, I mean, you're talking about, why were you even talking about a gag order? One of the victims might have been gagged or whatever he said, but he literally said that to Hippler.
Yeah.
So,
they treated him like shit. I mean, it's also a lot to take in. Don't you feel like it's like you said it best, Lana, writing up a post conviction with this case, it's like, where do you want to start?
Well, I think about Massoff got a guy completely exonerated because of a suggestive police lineup.
Right.
I mean, they put the guy in there. He was like 6'2", and they put a bunch of midgets in there, and then he was standing in the middle. And I think he had long hair or something. They were like, "Yeah." The lady said, "I think it's that one. Yeah, that one matches the best."
Right.
I did a little meme, and it was a bunch of little white guys and a big tall black guy, and he said, "Which one is it?" I guess the one in the middle.
I'm gonna go with that one.
That's terrible.
So how did Payne? Who saw the sheath?
Well, the only reason Payne could see the sheath from the door and everybody else couldn't is because he was actually the eye height of the bed.
I knew you were coming with that.
Yep. I mean, that's the only reason he has a straight up view. It was like
straight on.
Everybody else was up there.
That gets a ring a ding. Oh my God.
Oh.
All right. Are you done? I'm done, man.
Yeah, I better get off here. Miss Pavla will chop my head off.
All right.
I don't even know what day it is anymore. Is it Saturday? Friday?
That's what they say. Well, we love you over here. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you so much for having me on, Lana. You're the best. Everybody, all your viewers are the best. Yeah, I mean, you're awesome. You keep me straight. I can go way off in left field. So I appreciate you keeping me grounded on stuff.
Well,
but you're awesome. Thank you.
I just appreciate you. And I want to buy you. Have you guys had dinner yet tonight?
Oh, no, we'll never go anywhere. We're snowed in.
You guys are?
Don't buy me nothing. Don't buy me nothing. Thank you.
Though.
You having me on and having this conversation, best gift you can give me. Okay?
Well, stop. Well, tell your wife thank you so much for letting me steal you for, oh my God, 3 hours and 15 minutes. Geez, that was long.
Has it really been that long?
It doesn't feel like it though, right?
It doesn't, but I'm going to get my head chopped off. Are you kidding?
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Well, thank you so much, Pat. We'll do this again. Like I said, if you want to do it at the end of the month, I always like talking to you. You know the case. I feel like we're reading a novel and we're at the same chapters, and then we're comparing, awesome. And I appreciate you. I value everything that you bring to the table, and I love your videos because I'm like, hey, if you can't watch my stuff, go watch his for 20 minutes.
There you go.
It's like, if you want the girl version, come on over here. But if you want that quick guy version, in and out.
if you want that wacky guy version, he's over there.
Well, thank you so much. Yep. And we'll do this again. You rock.
You rock too. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Anytime. You're welcome with anything. And if I get something, to hit me up and I'll shoot it right over to you.
I'll do the same. I'm going to try to figure out how to send you all those pictures that I clipped just so you'll have it in an easy file.
Oh, well, thank you. That's kind. All right, guys.
Thank you, Lana.
Thank you. Thank you. There you go. I did it for him. He's like, I don't even know how to get out of here. I love it. What's up, buddy? Great show. Thank you so much. My voice, man. Oh my God. Woo. It just flies by, and we're just, what do you guys think? Lots to talk about, lots to think. I just think it'd be really hard as a parent to read these reports and just be like, what the hell, man? But then maybe you're like looking at Brian Culver's, cell phone, and you're like, that dude didn't talk to anybody though. Like, who is he plotting with? Who's he doing this with? And I'm like, well, people have burners, or, whose phone? I don't know. I just hope that Steve G and the families tell Payne, or not Payne, I mean, whoever was lying to them, but definitely Ashley Jennings and Bill Thompson to go right here. Savannah has better hair than he's over there probably like, he's got better sunglasses though. Come on. Thank you guys though for joining. I was making sure I got everybody. Let's see. Sherry D gifted 5 memberships. You know what? I'm not going to make you guys wait for this. Those of you guys that have been following the Holly Bobo case, Clint Bobo on the day of the murders, beginning at the early morning hours, he began to have his phone start call forwarding anybody that was calling his phone. The calls would be forwarded to another person. And he had a burner account phone number that he called 911 with at 8:10 in the morning. All of this is coming out. The calls that Clint was receiving to his cell phone was forwarded to none other than his mother. Remember I told you guys it was the mother of all lies? It's the mother of all lies. I said, go and follow that case because it's in this post-conviction of there's this, hey, there is a man that's in prison that did not do this, and this is awful. Well, Paulette Sutton, who is in the Idaho4 case and did the work for the state, guess who she did the work for in the Holly Bobo case? The state of Tennessee. So Paulette Sutton, who's the opposition of the Brent Turvey and the everybody that's with the defense here, saying that crime scene is indicative of this. Okay. Well, Paulette looked at the quote unquote carport and all that crap back then. I guess you'll say whatever, Paulette. No, I don't know. Maybe Paulette will take another look at it and be like, hey, yeah, I can't rule any of this stuff out that they're saying. And this is totally possible. And I just want everybody that would ever have been involved in something like this. Did you guys see those pictures? Come on. Nobody gets away with that. Nobody. Everybody goes down. Everybody goes down. So, but thank you guys so much. I think a lot of people turned green. Brooke. God, my voice is already, I can feel it. Last night I went ham on Turtle Boy. That guy needs a lot of help. Ooh, okay. Did I catch everybody? Thank you guys so much. I was trying to hit everybody. Oh, the Richard. Hi, Richard. All right. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much. If I missed you, I'll just do a live when let me just thank everybody. My throat is killing me. I'm very, very humbled by your support. Very thankful for all of you guys showing up and working together. I think if we all work together, there's so many talented people that are out and have platforms. And if we team up the right way, there's things that I'm good at, but there's things that I'm not good at. So when you balance each other out and you put it together, I mean, how can it? Only good things can happen. Nothing can ever bad happen from that. Discussing something and taking a look at something. Why do you think the Innocence Project exists? That means that people mess up, right? Sometimes on purpose. Sometimes, hey, like, wow, I cannot believe that this happened. So, thank you, Brooke. That's so hilarious. Thank you, moderators. Thank you so much, moderators. Thank you so much, Bella. I was like, Bella, get in chat, make sure everything's okay. No one's perfect, 50 brains, one brain, come on, 5 brains. All right. Good night. I'll probably be live later just to say, Clint Bobo, I got questions for you. I got questions for that whole entire investigation team that investigated the murder, abduction and murder of Holly Bobo. You guys got lots to talk about. See you on the flip side. Peace. I can prove call forwarding. I can prove burners. And I can prove that Clint Bobo was not at home. I'm going to do it. Give me some witness protection.